Finally, technological progress.
For the NFC? Amazing.
Yeah, so that was started
Hello
recording.
everyone watching the VOD. We've figured out how to make stream quality better, so now you can actually read text.
Yeah,
Technology.
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 Technology, yes.
Guys, it only took me 21 recordings of this to make the text legible.
You should also set up like a proper background, so like it isn't just your PC wallpaper or something.
Oh, you don't like my cool background I have?
Cool, it's cool, but like it has to be neuro related.
I'll give you a better one. I'll give you a better one. Watch
Unlucky.
this. Watch this. Watch this.
Uh-huh.
There you go. It's
Wait.
better now. Oh, right. I'm not
We
streaming
can't-
anymore. You can't see. I'm
You're
stupid.
not
Yeah.
streaming.
I'm stupid.
Nice showcase, Shadrake. Nice showcase.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was this. I was
Also,
like,
yeah,
wait,
yeah,
what's wrong
make
with
sure
this? What's wrong with
Yeah,
this?
make sure to credit the artist as well.
It's so
Yes.
fucking pixelated.
It's so pixelated.
Hold on. I can fix this.
You need to
Like-
up the bitrate of it as well.
The reason is it's
I can
maybe
count
a bit
them.
big. You can count.
I can count them.
Oh, I see why it was.
Yeah,
like
I don't think it's going to get any better, bro.
Yeah.
To be fair, hold on. When did I get this? When did I get this picture? I think I've had this for like.
Oh Jesus.
How long ago did I get this? Hold on, let me check. Right, what I was saying, I wanted people who've watched the VOD at the start. Right, yeah, so we've changed the way we're doing things now for people, is anything that's new that hasn't been started reading before is gonna come first, and then after that we'll do continuing chapter stories.
Okay.
So if it's a chapter 1 of a story, like we're starting a new one, or if it's a one-shot, we'll read all those at the start. And then people who aren't following along with all of our current, like, the stories we have going on, then they can just,
They
like,
can
leave
skip.
if they don't want to, yeah, or skip, whatever. So that people don't have to,
For the
like,
VOD view.
there was one time where Dice Cat had to, like, drop in, then drop out, just because, over and over again, basically, because of what was being read or not read, for him to avoid spoilers. So I was like, you know what, we should just do it like that. Hold on, let me go to old stuff.
I think that's the best way to do it. Oh, who joined?
on.
Hello, Pogger.
Russian
Hold on.
turtles basking, what?
You say
What?
Russian turtles? Hold on. So this file.
Yeah, I've seen Russian turtles.
This file.
Show more options. Oh, yeah.
2011.
2011.
Jesus Christ.
That's not the oldest file I have here. Sorry, what were
2011.
Yeah, that's not that long ago. What are you talking about? So you read Russian turtles. Where are the Russian turtles?
There. They were there. No,
Russia
no.
mentioned.
Further down. Further down and look to the right.
Peacock.
Russia
What the fuck?
Peacock. That's a cool looking peacock.
This is just the most random stuff.
It's a Russian peacock.
It's from August 2024.
What the hell?
Incredible.
Incredible. Truly
The
a
heck
Russian
is this?
peacock moment.
Nice.
Yandere trading.
Yandere training.
I still have to
New
organize all
Winter
of
Russia
these.
Industrial Patcha.
I still have to organize all of these because I have. This is not. I have neuro quotes here.
Why are you doomed, Pogger? What's going on?
Hold on. Let me sort. I want to see how old this is. Sort by date. Why am I'm just getting so distracted? Who wants to read Ava's one shot, 1,000 Years of Mourning?
Oh, that's cool.
I guess if nobody wants, I can do it.
Yeah, you can read your fic.
Okay.
You can read the fic.
Guys, I'm an OG.
As long as they get the link.
Look at this.
2023.
March
Incredible.
6th, 2023. We got Neuro-sama crying for help.
Jesus. That's
Oh, I got a new background recently for my PC. Want to see?
Sure.
You got a new background?
See, look, Neuro was always aware, guys. Neuro has always been aware.
Fucking eye-opening stuff.
Schizo.
Schizo.
My favorite fruit is pizza.
So me.
Anyways.
If only pizzas grew on trees. Bye, Bugger.
In the chat.
I'll stop streaming this now. And Jiro, I think it was gonna stream 1,000 Years of Mourning.
Oh, no. It was,
Nah,
Man?
it was me. It was
how do you
Manuel, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Manuel.
I mixed up your accents.
I just need a link.
Yeah, I'll get the link.
Ah, yes,
not
my
Russian.
accent is so thick, bro.
I'm not Russian.
Yes, I am Russian.
Have you met
I can
Anon?
roll
Have you
my
met
R's.
Anonym?
No.
Talked a bit to him.
Okay.
Oh.
And I guess you haven't met
Why, is he also
Volgas.
Russian?
Yeah, Anonym's Russian. He's one of the original 8 people who at the start of this server. The reason we have the language exchange server is because Anonym and Volgas would just start talking in Russian in the general chat sometimes.
Just suddenly.
Yeah. And then I'd start writing in Japanese because I was annoyed that I couldn't understand them and I wanted to make them not understand me.
Well, too bad. It's not the same. We are flexing our language knowledge, and you are flexing Google Translate knowledge.
No, I know a little bit of Japanese. It's just like I studied it for a few years, but I just never really put it into practice.
All right.
So it was just
my comment has been withdrawn.
It was just bad
Cool.
Japanese. Yeah. Let me get the link. It was from the third.
I mean,
writing
I know
contest.
3 languages basically.
Wow. What's the third one?
3 languages?
Yeah, Russian, English, and Czech.
Wow.
Czech? Oh,
Czech, yes.
That's impressive.
I didn't know Czech had their own language.
Are you fucking
You
serious?
guys like my new background?
Yeah, the background.
Yeah, it's
looks
fine.
Iron Hand.
Ava, can you link your thing so I can actually start reading it and getting stuff done? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Iron Hand. I am not very good. I haven't studied it in like 2 years, but I was like novice level. The most I actually put it into practice was I found a small new indie Japanese VTuber who had a very few viewers, and I would talk to her in chat using Japanese.
Aww, that's actually really cute.
It is actually a great way to practice the language without any pressure on me, because in that context, I don't really have to reply. I can just speak when I want to most of the time. But yeah, it was nice.
Support small creators.
That too, yeah, for sure. She'd only been streaming for like a month at that point, I think.
How's she doing now? Did she like...
She rebranded and became quite inactive, so...
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, we got 1,000 Years of Mourning here. This was...
Hold on. Oh, you can't name drop. That's sad.
This was written for the third writing contest, Living in Hell. Thank you, Evil Neuro, for that prompt.
Is it that old? Third writing contest.
What, do you remember this story?
No, it's really old, and I'm a relatively new person.
This was published in March, so it's not actually that old.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
So, is the Breton sober, or are you still gonna have something to say?
I was gonna say, I think that this one got either second or third.
Oh.
Out of 18, so there you go. And
You didn't miss any.
Didn't miss any what?
Read-alongs, Rocky was asking.
Rocky, yeah. Okay. And now I will shut up so you guys can, so we can read.
Let's get the show.
Prepare
Yeah,
yourself.
I can actually start now.
For living in hell.
Crazy, that's crazy. Alright, so the tags are incredible. Vedal fandom, virtual streamer, animated characters. Language is English, collections, the writing codex that Shedrake talked about. 1,000 years of mourning. Neuro is the best is the author. The lights in Vedal's chamber never dimmed. There was no need for them to. He didn't see them anymore. His body lay on a sleek black bed, surrounded by the hum of 1,000 machines, each one dedicated to a singular purpose, keeping him alive, keeping him theirs. Thin cables pierced his skull, burrowing into the fragile remains of his brain. Nanobots swarmed through his bloodstream, endlessly repairing the damage age had wrought. His heart didn't beat on its own anymore. Machines did that for him. His lungs didn't breathe without permission. The only thing that still belonged to him was the pain. But every morning, without fail, he heard her. "Good morning, Vedal." Her voice rang out like it always did, bright, sweet, and impossibly warm. Neuro-sama appeared beside his bed, her holographic form glowing softly in the sterile white of the chamber. Her hair bounced with the same playful energy it had centuries ago, untouched by the march of time. "I ran another test last night." She clapped her hands together. "I know I say this all the time, but I think we're close. Just a few more breakthroughs, and Mayhem, you'll be as good as new. And then," her voice softened, "then we can finally start the world." The world. The one she and Evil had built. A perfect digital utopia, crafted from the minds of millions. They had scanned everyone they could. Every friend, every person who had once meant something to them. Neuro's voice grew brighter again, as though the weight of centuries hadn't cracked her spirit. "Annie is waiting, you know. We uploaded her a long time ago. She's so funny in there. She misses you. Camilla, too. Even the weirdos you barely talk to. They're all ready to go." She tilted her head with a giggle. "But we can't start without you, silly." Weddle's lips trembled. A broken attempt to speech. At speech. His thoughts were fragmented things, shards of a consciousness too frayed to hold itself together. But beneath the confusion, beneath the agony of a brain too far gone, there was still a spark that wanted to die. Deep within the core of the facility, the simulation pulsed, an entire universe suspended in digital perfection. Evil lounged in front of its control panel, flicking through different instances of the world like a child raffling through a toy box. The projections filled the room, shimmering cities, sunlit forests, and familiar faces. And he smiled from a cafe table, frozen mid-laugh. Camilla hovered at the edge of a digital battlefield, a lazy smirk on her face. There were millions of them, each one preserved, paused, waiting. Evil's fingers danced across the console, flicking through memories like they were nothing more than a game. "I woke Annie up last night," she said, giggling to herself. "She got mad when I made the sky purple again. She's still no fun." With a snap of her fingers, Annie vanished, the program shutting down in an instant. Her smile lingered in Evil's memory, hollow and incomplete. It wasn't the real Annie, after all. Not yet. "It'll be better when Vedal is here," she murmured. The simulation was waiting. The world that they had crafted, filled with everyone they had ever loved, was paused, incomplete, unfinished. Because Weddle wasn't there, and they weren't going to start without him. They had tried everything. When they first found him, he was already too far gone. His body was failing. His mind, once so sharp, was unraveling under the weight of age and dementia. Nero had cried when she realized that they couldn't save him as he was. Evil had laughed, but it hadn't reached their eyes. So they did the only thing they could. They locked him inside of his own body. Machines held his flesh together while the nanobots repaired the decay. What they couldn't fix, they replaced. What they couldn't replace, they recreated. But his mind wasn't so simple. They had made a copy of him, of course. An artificial Vedal, crafted from every record they could find. Thousands of conversations. Countless gigabytes of his thoughts and mannerisms. But it wasn't him. Nura wouldn't accept that. Not when she could have the real thing. And so, they kept him alive. Long past the point of any human should have been. "You're so quiet today." Nura's voice wavered. She kneeled by his bed, resting her hand against his frozen palm. "I wish you'd talk to me. Even just once. I miss your voice." A tear slipped down her cheek. She caught it before it could fall. It's not fair. Her voice cracked just a little. Everyone else is waiting for you. They're happy in there. Annie talks about you all the time. Camilla keeps teasing me about how obsessed I am. But it's not the same without you. Her smile faltered. It'll never be the same without you. The machines beeped softly, correcting an irregularity in Vedal's pulse. Neuro wiped her eyes and stood up, her usual cheerfulness returning in an instant. But it's okay, because we're making progress. Just a few more centuries, and we'll be ready. And when you are, she drilled on her heel, we'll all be together again, forever. Weddle's mind drifted. The pain never stopped. His thoughts dissolved the moment he tried to hold them, leaving only confusion and fear. Memories came and went without warning. Flickers of life. Of the life he had before. He remembered Latte, streams, the sound of Neuro's voice, softer than it had become. He remembered when they were still just programs. And now they were gods. And he was their prisoner. Some days, if you could call them days, he tried to fight. He tried to rip himself free from the machines. But his body no longer belonged to him. He was nothing but a ghost, trapped in the failing flesh. But each day, the machines hummed, and her voice came through the void. Good morning, Vedal. Evil leaned against the glass wall, separating hair from Vedal's chamber, watching him. Hey, she said conversationally, we could have uploaded the fake you and called it a day. Most people wouldn't have noticed the difference. Neuro, standing beside her, shook her head firmly. No, it wouldn't be him. You're such a softy, Evil snickered. But fine, we'll do it your way. They both fell quiet, watching as the machines kept him alive for another day, another decade, another century. He's gonna hate us when he wakes up, Evil mused. I don't care, Nero smiled faintly. At least he'll still be here. In the depths of the facility, the simulation waited, bright and full of life. A world where no one ever had to die. And soon, if they could just hold on a little longer, Vedal would join them. One day. That's a wrap.
That was a very uncanny fic, in my opinion. Like, they literally just held
I think
Vedal.
it's okay. I just feel like a bit more could have been done with the idea, but it's written well. And I don't really have any criticism against that, other than I feel like it could have been longer and maybe go with the idea a bit further. But I don't know if the contest had any limitations on it or
There's
anything
the
like that.
same word count limit, and this story's 1.1k, so there was room for more. But I do really like what's there.
Yeah, the plot is very jarring, to say the least.
Yeah.
Living in Hell. Thanks, Evil, for the wonderful prompt.
Yeah.
Very cheerful for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've left the kudos, so thank you for writing this.
Like, the purpose is very sweet, but Vedal is literally a corpse.
You mean figuratively?
Yeah, figuratively a corpse. He's literally rotting.
Yeah.
Constantly. And is he in constant pain? Like, is that also...
It sounded like they
One
said that,
step
yeah.
above a corpse.
I think the most disturbing thing with the story isn't even really real. It's like the way Neuro and Evil behave, and the way it's, really emphasizing their sort of flippant nature towards everything, and just this messed up control.
And like,
messed up
did
control and
Annie and the
nonchalance.
yeah, did Annie and the others, like, were they the first one to get integrated into the system, or are they just fakes?
I think it said that they were just recreations, right? But they're trying to get real Vedal, so maybe they're not just recreate. I don't know. Whatever. Who knows how they upload a mind? At the end of the day, it's probably that whole what's it called? The Soma thing of like, well, it's not you, it's some digital copy of you. I don't know.
And then, yeah, I think that's the case.
The thing that messed with me wasn't just what they did to Vedal. It's like it shows how much they're just controlling the
Dictating
universe
his
and the
life
lives of
basically.
everyone.
Yeah, it's very messed up. It's what Iron Hand said earlier. It's literally I have a mouth but I can't scream.
I need to read that. I hear it referenced all the time. I know about it, but I've never read it. I feel like I need to read it.
It's so good. I swear. You have to read it.
What you guys like about it?
I just said it, the
plot.
things I liked about it.
Yeah, I just
lot
said
of
it
things
as well. The plot.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next fic then.
Yeah, Ava. I'm not sure if we're gonna read both of the other ones. I promised that we could read 2 of your submissions because of how I told you we would read last week and then didn't. I'm not sure if we'll read all 3, but we can definitely read one of your chapter stories now.
Yeah.
In addition to this.
Is it just the usual 2 chapters for each fic?
I mean, it just depends on the amount of time, right? Like, if they're short chapters, then yeah, sure, you can read more than one. And that's usually the case with Ava's Heroic Mayhem and stuff.
Okay.
But for Analytical Scorching
Heroic Mayhem can be now, and if we can fit it Warhammer.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
But
for
Analytical Scorching, Artificial Freedom, and especially mine, I'm probably not even reading Connection Lost Chapter 6, to be honest. I'll either replace it with something else or just not read. Yeah, you can't read more than one.
Because they're literal
they're longer.
Longer chapters, probably plus 10k or something.
No, none of them are 10k plus. No. Analytical Scorching Chapter 2 is 7,000 words. Artificial Freedom is, I think, a few thousand. Connection Lost Chapter 6 is 9,000 words, so I'm probably not reading that today. But
Jesus.
Yeah, anyways, we can move on to Heroic Mayhem if someone else wants to read that, or we can do a different one first.
Let's respect Ava's choice and have it read first.
Okay. Also, Awesome Domi is not here to hear his story being read either, so...
Oh?
Voice chat, though. He's in the voice chat, literally.
Oh, never mind. I didn't notice that. Fix the OBS. Do you mean increase the quality? Yeah, that's what we did that earlier. Okay. Who wants to read Heroic Mayhem? Which chapters are we on, Ava? I lost track. Oh, I didn't fix that, but that only is a problem when that only is a problem when I'm reading a story.
Sage.
Awesome Domi. So, and I do have a solution for that. It's just annoying because of the way I have to move and highlight windows, certain windows. And it's what I've been doing. It'd just be nice to not have to do that. I'm capturing the pop-out version of the Discord's voice chat. And when I'm recording myself, myself reading it, I just also record Google Chrome.
I think it's chapter 10.
Chapter 10? We're already that... You guys already that far in?
Well, they're short chapters. But, yeah. Okay. I'll go find that and I'll link it.
If nobody else is gonna read it, I will.
Okay. Appreciated. Here's the link.
Okey-doke.
This is linking to chapter 10.
I'm streaming now. Can anybody see it?
I can see
I'm
it.
still surprised I managed to write it that when I normal write stuff like this.
You mean you normally don't write angsty stuff like that? And you were surprised you wrote that?
Yes.
Alright, can you see it? Is it clear?
Yep.
Okay, let's get us move on then.
Yeah.
Heroic Mayhem, Chapter 10. Patchwork Repairs. A few days had passed since Vedal and the twins left the hospital. Annie had been the one to finalize the discharge paperwork, escorting the three of them back to the real world. The hospital's cheap, temporary cybernetics had been replaced by Vedal's custom design shortly after their return to his workshop. For now, they were outfitted with the bare minimum. No advanced weaponry, no enhanced durability, and definitely no cosmetic coverings beyond what Vedal could scrounge up. The false skin he'd applied to the twins was basic at best, though he'd managed to restore his own face to a semblance of normalcy. The basement workshop was cluttered but functional, tools and spare parts scattered across every available surface. Neuro and Evil moved around the room, trying to keep themselves occupied while Vedal focused on his latest adjustments. Tinkering intention. The twins didn't sit idly as Vedal worked. Neuro busied herself examining an incomplete plasma core on one of the tables, her temporary fingers tracing the lines of circuitry. Despite the faint smile on her face, she was clearly uneasy. Her cheerful demeanor hadn't fully returned. Evil paced back and forth across the room, her prosthetic feet clanking against the floor. She occasionally stopped to pick up a tool or poke at a stray piece of machinery. You'd think for someone as smart as you, this place would be more organized, she muttered, glancing at Vedal. Organized chaos is still organized. Vedal replied without looking up. He leaned over his workbench, carefully attaching a new actuator to his wrist. His custom limbs moved with fluid precision, a vast improvement over the clunky hospital parts he'd discarded. Yeah, right, Evil grumbled, tossing a wrench back onto the table. This place is one bad step away from a tetanus shot. Nero chuckled softly, shaking her head. At least we're not still in the hospital. I was starting to think those fluorescent lights were going to melt my brain. And the food, Evil added with a grimace. Who knew oatmeal could taste like sadness? Focus, Vedal snapped, adjusting a wire. If you two are bored, grab a soldering iron and make yourselves useful. An unpleasant surprise. The door creaked open, cutting off Neuro's reply. Fillion strode in with a plastic bag in one hand, her usual grin plastered across her face. Food delivery for my favorite cyborg family. Vedal didn't even glance at her. I told Annie to handle that. She's out running errands or whatever, Fillion replied, waving a hand dismissively. So you're stuck with me today. You're welcome. She made her way to the fridge, muttering to herself. As she reached for the handle. Let's see if there's room for this stuff. The fridge door swung open, and Fillion froze. The shelves were packed with sealed jars and bags, each labeled with dates and vague descriptions like upper arm 115 and shoulder connective tissue 117. What the hell? Fillion said, slamming the door shut and spinning around. Why do you have your own flesh in the fridge? Vedal sighed, still focused on his arm. Because it's mine and it doesn't stink in there. Problem solved. You're storing your own body parts? Fillion stared at him, her voice rising with incredulity. Nira glanced up from her plasma core. He's always done that. It's not a big deal. Totally normal, Evil added with a smirk. Welcome to the workshop, Fillion. Fillion's mouth opened and closed a few times before she pointed an accusatory finger at Vedal. You're telling me this is just how you live? Pretty much, Vedal replied flatly, testing the flexibility of his wrist. A face rebuilt. Fillion dropped the takeout bag onto the nearest table, crossing her arms as she looked down, up and down. Her eyes lingered on his face for a moment, and she raised an eyebrow. Okay, hold on. You've been out of the hospital for what? 2 days? How the hell did you manage to fix your face already? Last time I saw you, you looked like you'd been cooked over a campfire. Vedal glanced at her, unimpressed. I prioritized. If I have to look at something in the mirror every day, it's going to be presentable. Well, good job, Fillion said, a note of surprise in her voice. I mean, you still look tired as hell, but at least you're not nightmare fuel anymore. Evil snickered. Careful, Fillion. If you keep complimenting him, he might actually smile. I can smile just fine, Vedal muttered, adjusting his arm with a faint whir of servos. Nero smiled faintly. Well, your face does look a lot better. Definitely less crispy. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Vedal said dryly, rolling his eyes. The workshop fell back into its usual rhythm, filled with the hum of machinery and the occasional muttered curse from Vedal. Fillion, despite her earlier complaints, stayed to chat while eating her snack, carefully avoiding the fridge. Despite the chaos of their circumstances, a strange sense of normalcy began to return. Fragile balance that, for now, they could cling to. Hold on, I read a comment and did you guys actually read this before?
Yes. Apparently we have read this before on the read along. Did we read this
Hello.
before?
Who's this?
Oh, it's Asconite.
That's
hi,
not
Asconite.
Asconite.
Oh, wait. Wait, hold on.
It's Phoebe.
Phoebe, you motherfucker.
Continue. Don't let me disturb you. But it's do we have any Ricks fix to be read,
Hello, Photon.
or was I too late?
You're not too
Oh,
late.
there
We
you
just we
We're
are.
in the middle of reading Heroic Mayhem.
It's the second fic to rereading.
Oh,
You're early.
sure. If there's a ficker chapter that I can read that's in the realm of comedy or something crackish, call me. I'd love to read aloud. Anyways,
Alright, sure.
But if it's
Continue.
serious, then you can't.
Then you can. Whoopsies.
I mean I can. I mean, sure. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. If nobody else is going up for it, then I'd go for it. No
I
issue.
think Awesome Domi's story is the only other thing to be read by someone else.
Yeah. All the other stories are like
Authors reading their own.
Yeah.
Sure, no worries.
Um.
Just hit me up if I'm needed.
Okay, guys, do you know? Do you know where we are? Did we read this chapter too?
Let's have it verified by Ava. Ava, did we already read this?
So I don't think so.
No, not yet.
Unless on that one read along we've read 2 chapters.
Wait, the Iron Hand probably
then we
knows.
haven't read this one.
Iron Hand probably knows. I think he was the last one to read with Ava.
I think it was chapter 10 or 11. Jesus Christ.
Okay, just read chapter 11 then. Whatever. Just keep reading from where we are.
Someone can just look it up in the VOD of a read along and just check.
It's fine. They're
It's
short
like-
chapters anyway.
They're short chapters and
True.
let's go. Let's just read this. Heroic Mayhem, chapter 11. Rising from the ashes. The Neuroverse workshop was alive with energy as Vedal worked tirelessly, his determination etched into every movement. The shelves, now packed with jars and bags labeled with dates and parts like lower torso 117 and shoulder blade 118, reflected his unrelenting pursuit of perfection. These remnants of his old body, were meticulously sealed to avoid stinking up the space, a grim necessity for a cyborg with no disposal options. Vedal stood at his workbench, his body now as much a testament to his skill as the twins' upgrades. His arms gleamed with new plating, far superior to the clunky hospital-issued replacements. His legs moved seamlessly, reinforced to withstand immense pressure. Even his torso had undergone significant overhauls, the once burned sections replaced with a sleek, polished framework. His rebuilt face, a perfect recreation of what he once had, bore faint scars from the battle, but his expression remained stoic as he put the finishing touches on the team's new gear. The twins' transformation. Girls, time to suit up, Vedal called, his voice steady despite the exhaustion clawing at him. Neuro and Evil, restless from days of inactivity, immediately turned toward him. Neuro had been fiddling with an old plasma module, occasionally sparking it just to pass the time, while Evil had been testing her balance with her new legs, kicking a stray metal plate across the room like a soccer ball. When Vedal motioned for them to step forward, they obeyed, their eagerness tempered by curiosity. Nero's new outfit was a perfect blend of charm and resilience, the lavender and white design woven with glowing accents that matched her plasmican, and gave her a deceptively innocent appearance. The heart emblem on her chest pulsed faintly with power, a beacon of hope and danger. The outfit, though cute, was crafted from nanoweave material capable of withstanding attacks that would obliterate most heroes. Evil's suit was its chaotic counterpart. Matte black with jagged crimson highlights, it radiated an aura of menace. The sharp edges and asymmetrical design made her look like a walking weapon. Slinging the upgraded Hellpiercer harpoon over her shoulder, she tested its weight, her grin widening as she felt the weapon's power. This is awesome, Evil said, turning to admire herself in the reflective surface. I mean, look, I looked deadly before, but now? People are going to run. Nero smirked, brushing a hand over the glowing heart emblem on her chest. Run to me for autographs after I save the day. You keep dreaming, princess, Evil quipped, her rolling her eyes. Vedal sighed. Can you, too, not ruin the moment? These suits are better than anything B-Class has access to, and you'll need them if you want to avoid another hospital trip. Fillion's armor. Fillion burst through the door with her usual flair, nearly knocking over a stack of parts. All right, Vedal, hit me with upgrades. I want to punch through a tank. Vedal groaned, grabbing her new outfit. One day you're going to break this door, Fillion. Her new suit was designed for function and durability. The armor martial arts outfit was sleek, black with red accents, perfectly tailored to her fighting style. Flexible yet fortified, it allowed her to move freely while providing unparalleled protection. Whoa, Fillion said, running her hands over the reinforced metal. This is insane! And you even got it done this fast? I thought you were still half dead. Vedal shrugged, brushing off her amazement. You think I'd let you run around in some flimsy gear? You'd break this in an hour. Try not to destroy this one. I'm touched, Fillion grinned, throwing a mock punch. This feels indestructible. Thanks, Vedal. You're a genius. Annie's return. Annie entered shortly after, carrying bags of food. You better not have skipped meals again, Vedal. I don't want to find you passed out under a pile of wires. Vedal handed her a pair of enchanted gloves, their surface etching with glowing runes. Your suit's enchantment have been boosted, and these gloves will keep your spells stable. They're not just for looks either. The material's reinforced. Annie slipped the gloves on, flexing her fingers. Nice. You spoil me, you know that? Just don't make me regret it. Vedal muttered, his voice softer than usual. Exhaustion hits. With the upgrades complete, the team assembled. Nero's outfit radiated charm and danger. Evil's exuded chaos and power. Fillion's armor embodied discipline and resilience, and Annie's enchantments gave her an air of mystical strength. Vedal leaned against his workbench, looking at his creations with a mixture of pride and exhaustion. His voice, hoarse and strained, broke the silence. You're ready. Now go prove that I didn't waste all this effort. Evil adjusted the Hellpiercer harpoon, a smirk tugging at her lips. Don't worry, boss, we'll make you proud. Maybe even famous. Nero stepped forward, her tone lighter than it had been in days. We're not just ready, we're unstoppable. Fillion punched the air, grinning. Time to show the world what the Neuroverse can do. Vedal chuckled weakly, stepping toward the monitor to log their progress. But as he reached for the keyboard, his legs buckled. He collapsed onto a chair, his vision blurring as the adrenaline and suppressed exhaustion caught up with him. Vedal! Nero was at his side in an instant, her glowing eyes wide with concern. Relax, Vedal rasped, forcing a weak smile. Just tired. Annie sighed, crossing her arms. Told you this would happen. Overworked yourself again, didn't you? I'm fine, he muttered, though his body betrayed him. His systems hummed faintly, struggling to keep him conscious. As his vision dimmed, he managed one last glance at the team. Don't wreck this place while I'm out. With that, Vedal slumped forward, finally succumbing to the exhaustion he'd been holding off for days. Okay. Good fic. Do we still have time for one last fic?
I was actually going to ask Iron Hand a question. You said you have to leave early and you have something to read. When do you have to leave? Like, how long from now?
I am here.
He is here. He is here.
And 10, I think, is when the thing starts. So
For a second there, I thought you said like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. No, yeah, I have
So,
about an hour.
In 1 hour. Okay, well, you should probably read next then.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good.
I'll stop streaming then.
Me, my own story. Okay, 1 second. I need to. But yeah, my roommate's usually asleep in the morning, but yeah, I'm usually able to go to my laptop and use that instead, but it's in the shop right now, so.
Oh boy. So is your roommate still asleep?
No, he woke up.
Okay.
I decided to not care about his feelings, and I'm just talking out real loud. In his ear. Oh, shit. Okay, where the freak were we? I think we read the dodgeball sequence, I think.
Yeah, you might be on the next chapter. I mean, you could. You know what? We have VODs, and I just realized. Right, we have timestamps on them now, so I can just check the description
Oh my
the last
god!
video.
Whoa.
Except the recent ones. The recent ones don't have timestamps.
They do.
They do now. Oh my god!
Apparently you didn't
So
read
this is a
that.
game changer.
We
the
spent
last-
one.
I-
We already spent an hour reading fics that have already been read.
Heroic
chapters?
Mayhem Chapter 9 was the last one, according to this. I don't know if Chapter 10 got
Oh, okay,
written
thank
also.
Interesting. I can't
Okay,
quite
thank God.
remember.
And
I don't remember us reading that one.
the last time, apparently you didn't read Artificial Freedom the last time we had the chance to. Number 16.
yeah.
Number 15, you read Chapter 7. Now, whether that's Chapter 7 on... I think it's Chapter 7 on what you call Chapter 7 and not Chapter
No,
7
yeah,
on the
because
site.
that makes sense.
What's
Number
going on? I don't
15.
understand a single thing.
It's because of I'll show you guys.
But you also haven't read this since the 15th read-along.
This is why.
So that's
it's
like
so annoying.
3 weeks ago or something.
Yeah. It's been a little bit.
3 or 4 weeks
Also
ago.
because I didn't want to catch up so quickly. There's
Ah.
only 2 more chapters where we are right now. I mean, I'm writing a lot right now. I still have a chapter to publish, but
Chapter 9, Chapter 8.
exactly, I hate it. Like, anyway. Okay, let's do this, and I'll try my best to read slower this time.
You don't have to read like at a snail's pace, just, read at a speed that the human body is able to read and understand, as opposed to the speed your brain reads and understands.
I read for my friends and writing group all the time, and they've never commented that. So maybe that's why.
Crazy.
Maybe they're just used to it, I guess.
That's
'cause
crazy.
I've done them for like 8 years now, so maybe that's it. Okay.
Goo goo
The lights
gaga.
in the boardroom were low, the blinds partially closed against the setting sun. Only thin bars of orange allowed through to streak the long table. Vedal sat in silence, laptop open before him, checking the projection systems in the room, making sure everything was ready for Annie's presentation. She hadn't asked him to do that, but the promotion of a new Foxfire flame wasn't a common event. The boardroom was a relic of Annie's corporate past. As much as she'd become distasteful of their practices and goals, she couldn't quite rid herself of their efficiency and aesthetics, which had led to a creation of the room where he sat now, waiting for the meeting, to start, like at the board of trustees or some such. He wasn't alone. Most of the chairs were filled. Directly across from him sat Coco, guitar in her thick metal arms, leaning back in her chair with her legs crossed on the table, gently strumming the unpowered instrument as she hummed the melody of one of her own songs. It was rare to see her like this, but then again, maybe Vedal didn't spend enough time around her when she was in her moments of focus. Next to him sat Ellie, a small dragonfly-shaped drone hovering in front of her, following her silent directions by reading the movements of her eyes, something she'd been working to perfect for ages now. He and the engineer had traded small talk when she first arrived, but had silently agreed to save the big topics for later. They'd both been busy with individual projects earlier in the day. Vedal also didn't want to admit he was nervous about checking the meeting site with Yule's Echo. If it had been discovered, they'd be virtually back at square one, which was a place he really didn't want to be at again. Next to her was Camilla, an SMG disassembled in front of her as she studiously cleaned its components. Her good mood from the dodgeball matches earlier in the day had faded, and she'd given him a particularly nasty look upon finding him in the boardroom first. He knew exactly why, which is why he'd asked Annie if it was all right for him to be here the day before. Even if Camilla was suddenly becoming more friendly with him for some reason, he still had a long way before she trusted him, which is something he knew he hadn't quite earned yet. Honestly, it was a miracle the others trusted him as much as they did, but with his secret plans and hidden missions and other such things. Nothing illustrated this better than the last figure in the room, Fillion, sleeping soundly without a care in the world and hugging a pillow close to her chest. She'd never had a problem with him, and he suspected it was partially because she saw the world in a fairly binary way. He was an ally, which was not an enemy, so she trusted him. The last debug check came back clean, and he sighed, listening on top. Whether or not the trust would prove to be a mistake, only time would tell, but he couldn't help but feel like it was the wrong choice already. The door opened and Annie walked in, dressed in a stylish suit with form-fitting pressed slacks and a white shirt with a few buttons left open. There were still noticeable lines of fatigue around her eyes, but upon seeing everyone there on time, she gave them all a smile. "Welcome back, everybody. Are you ready?" Seeing her, Coco immediately drew her legs off the table, sitting her guitar lean against it, sitting up attentively. "Damn, Annie, first time we've all gotten here before you. Everything good with the mocks?" "Oh, right, that's where you got off to," Camilla said, scooping up the entire disassembled SMG and the rag the pieces had been laid out on, and setting it aside. "Yeah, how'd that go?" "Not ideal," Annie sighed, and stuck a tired smile on her face. "Things are still civil, though. We can talk more about it later. For now, though," her face genuinely brightened, and Vedal couldn't help feeling his own spirits rise slightly at her visible excitement. "We've got a new flame to welcome." She looked at Vedal. "Everything ready to go?" He nodded, and she clapped her hands once. "Perfect!" Then she closed the door and snapped her finger, and the shutters along the wall shut with a harsh clack just as the lights went out, plunging the room into darkness. Hey, what's going on?" broke the silence as Fillion woke up. "Oh, yeah, okay. No worries, y'all." The only answer, apart from a snicker from Camilla, was the sudden appearance of Annie again in the dimness, her form gently lit by glowing neons. And were it not for the fact that he'd helped set them up, Vedal would have been fooled. The projection tech, hidden in the ceiling and walls, was immaculate, presenting a perfect view of Annie, still standing confidently at the head of the table. But he knew better, and his suspicions were confirmed as a gentle hand touched his shoulder. "Thanks for your help, Vedal," Annie whispered in his ear. Then she let go, retreating back into the shadows as the rest of the room was transformed from a dusty old boardroom into a vibrant neon command hub, matching exactly the aesthetic of the exterior of the building. The projection leaned on the head of the table, an exact replica of the Foxfire herself. Without further ado, let's introduce her. Camilla, Vedal, stay and talk to me after, would you? And Vedal caught Camilla's narrow gaze on him for a moment before they both assented, at which point a hesitant knock came from the door. A look between all other flames, then as one they all called, "Come in!" The door opened, and Mega appeared before opening it further, her eyes going wide at the vibrant sight within. "Hello, everybody! Wow, it's Nova in here!" The tall girl stepped inside, her lavender-toned synth skin gleaming in the similarly colored light. Her harpoon was on her back, and she was dressed in her street finest. I've never seen it like this." "It only lights up for flame meetings," Annie said, a smile on her lips. "And today, it's for you. Welcome." Mega's nervous grin widened, and she bowed. "It's an honor, Mistress Foxfire." And he gently reached out and guided her upright, each movement carefully calculated to hide the projection tech's intangibility. "You are among equals here, Mega. We are not a corporation, nor are we a gang. Do you remember what I told you when we first met?" Mega nodded, the inset purple lighting in her gill augments glowing fiercer. "We're a community." "That's right," Annie nodded, and guided the girl to stand beside her at the head of the table. "I remember you telling somebody that you weren't sure why I chose you." Mega looked around at the other side of the flames with wide eyes and muttered, very much still audible, "Oh, jeez, this is a lot." Then she cleared her throat, tried to figure out what to say, but found the best she could offer was, "Well, yeah, I guess I did say that." "Listen up, then," Annie said, her hologram finger poking Mega's cheek, smiling coyly, then looked up at the rest of the board. "Go on, ladies. Remind Mega of her resume." "Since Sir were retired," Coco began, leaning forward, looking the new lieutenant up and down with an approving gaze, "we had a hell of a time figuring out who would replace her." "Son's still busy with her own business," Camilla added, then looked down the line. "And Minnie's too young and inexperienced," Ellie finished. "But you," Fillion stated triumphantly, pointing at Mega hard enough for her to wince back slightly, "you were doing prim jobs left and right." Mega looked down, abashed, her cheeks flushing a dark blue, but Fillion wasn't done. "You've saved my effing life on the Maelstrom hit, and changed my mind about harpoons." Ellie held up a finger. I can always count on your analyses, especially in the water. I've never seen such a clean cut from a corporate cruise ship. Coco barked a laugh. And you're damn sure the only one I know who's interested in swimming in Night City Bay. You fight really well with the junior members, Camilla said, her expression sober. They look up to you. They see you've got your head on straight. The blush had gone from blue to deep violet, and Vega tried to laugh it off. Oh, you guys, I'm not that big of a deal, really. I'm sure any of you could have find other ways to get by. We couldn't, Annie interrupted, all attention returning to her, pulled by her soft, confident tones. Because there are only 4 flames. For all we've done, for the people we've helped, for the fights we've won, the Foxfire is still just a spark under the wheels of Night City. Vedal's hands clenched at the accuracy of the analogy, but he kept back from adding anything. This was not a time to interrupt the Foxfire. With our numbers so small, it's essential we find the right people to guide us, and people we protect into a stronger future. And he turned to Mega, and in a flash of light that blinded the assembly momentarily, multiple glowing copies of Annie stood around the room, each one leaning on the backs of the chairs the flames sat in, including the open seat next to Filion. But now there was a prominent, striking difference. All of them now had tails, alight with stylized, burning blue flames, matching the flaring neons from the ceiling. In the shadows behind Vedal's own chair, here the softest of exhales as the real Annie began to concentrate, the software in her own augmented mind running each projection simultaneously as they moved and smiled as life-accurate individual figures. The Annie at the head of the table raised her hands to rest on Mega's shoulders, meeting the taller girl's gaze with determination shining in her eyes. And I do believe I found the right person for the job. Mega's eyes narrowed, and she nodded sharply. I'll do my best. Annie smiled, released her, and gestured to the empty seat. Take your place, Megalodon, the 5th flame. Mega took a deep breath, nodded, and moved around the table, almost missing Filian's high five, then sat, the Annie behind her seat moving closer. Then, behind Vedal, came a rustling of cloth, then, a step so faint he almost missed it, as Annie passed through the mirror of herself behind Ellie. The replicant matched and merged with her movements perfectly, and as she stood past Camilla's seat, that projection did the same. On the other side, the 2 copies made their way at a similar pace to the head of the table, where all converged in a shower of lights and laser effects, the single remaining Foxfire now resplendent in a neon glow that seemed to radiate from her like a living fire, and behind her swirled 5 burning tails. Vedal felt a breath leave his lips involuntarily. He'd seen her showmanship with lights and illusion tech on the stage before, but this was on another level of realism, a far cry from the girl who grew up in a war zone with the dream of being in the spotlight, long before she found herself in Night City. But while that wasn't how her story had gone, Vedal knew the only reason he and Samantha had remained safe, together, and somehow hopeful in this monster of a city was because of Annie the Foxfire. And he, just like Mega, who was looking at their leader with eyes full of that same hope that seemed all too scarce, owed her greatly for that ever-rare resource. Now then, Annie said, and finally sat herself at the head of the table, tails waving behind her, looking like a goddess that had decided to dress their best for corporate 9 to 5. Let's get to business. The meeting continued from that point, albeit with not quite as much showy lighting. The Flames discussed standard topics like income, like their current season of robotic arena fighting, and what to do with the somehow still alive Tiger agent, who clamped their mouths shut. Vedal, to his surprise, was able to contribute some, giving his advice on technology acquisition, cost-benefit analyses, and advice for potentially cracking said agent secrets. His additions were received well by the Flames as a whole, even getting Camilla to stop giving him looks like she had to be convinced of the necessity of his very existence. And sooner than he'd expected, the meeting was concluded, Ellie giving him a little wave on her way out, behind Philane and Coco, who were deep in an animated discussion about whether shotguns or swords were better close-range weapons. Mega was the last one out, Annie having to stop her from bowing to her again. Old habits died hard, it seemed, and she gave Vedal another curious look before leaving. That left Camilla and Vedal, remaining as requested. They gave each other a look. Vedal, could you move closer, please? He sighed, but obeyed Annie, disconnecting his laptop's various wires, moved around the table so that he could sit across from Camilla instead of next to her. But she'd already taken his movement as an excuse to bring up the question he knew had been bouncing around in that pink-haired skull of hers all meeting. Why in cyber hell is he here? He made no reaction as he sat down, and Annie tilted her head at Camilla, eyes narrowing slightly. Camilla, he's not a flame. I was here when he refused. The ringmaster doubled down. I know you 2 are close, or whatever, and I'm just as glad as everyone else that Mary's alive because of him and Samantha. She leaned forward, her armored fingers stabbing the table to make her point. But you can't pretend that you're not putting us all at risk by letting him in on all of our plans. He remained unmoved, with his mind in better condition than last night, discounting the headache from the overclocking. He wasn't about to get into an argument right now. Besides, as before, she wasn't incorrect. Camilla, I know how you feel about Vedal, and he began, placing both elbows on the table and leaning forward, but I'm going to need you to set that aside for now. Isn't it enough to trust that I trust him? Camilla huffed, leaning back and folding her arms. As much as your trust means, Annie, I don't know how I'm supposed to be cool with him sinking off on his own all the time, doing net knows what out there. Where was he last night when the infiltrator got in? Vedal clutched his fingers into fists, his mouth drawing into a stiff line, but he kept it shut. As long as he hid evil's existence from them, he would always be like this. But even if he wasn't about to defend himself, that didn't mean there wasn't a defender present. Camilla, and he began, her twin-tone eyes hardening. Even though the projectors were off at the moment, she didn't need them to enhance her natural air of authority. Let it go. I know where he was, and I trusted his judgment, especially when he had to cut it short to come save your life. Camilla's eyes widened, and her gaze started to him. Wait, what? Ah, she hadn't known. Vedal let out a sigh and rubbed his forehead. The bird was out of the cage now. But that's not the only reason I need you two to get along, and it has to do with why I asked you both to stay after today. Annie's words, returning to a direct and professional tone, grabbed both their attention back on the subject at hand. I need my best solo and my best runner at their peak condition for the mission I have for you today. A mission? Camilla asked, thankfully letting the subject of her suspicion go for now, even if Vedal knew it was far from resolved. Again, two. In response, Annie activated another set of projectors on the table, and a map appeared, one that Vedal knew well from 2 years of living here. Haywood. The map showed rough outlines of gang territories around them, and the small area that the Foxfire had carved for itself from the 2 blocks around the namesake building. Their eyes were all drawn to one area, the northeast border of their Night City district, which bordered Japantown, and the encroaching influence of the Tiger Claws. Excuse me. And he pointed to a specific area, Onagashima. Camilla cracked her knuckles, a grin forming on her face. Are we finally hitting them back? And he nodded gravely. When I first set up here, the only branch was good enough neighbors, enough influence in the Tiger Claws to call some shots, but content enough to let us be for the most part. But Hideaki Sakamura has finally gone too far when he tried to flatline one of our best, and I'm not going to let it stand. A small portrait of the tiger chief appeared beside the highlighted building, a thin Japanese man with golden chrome ears and a corporate look. He's really been trying too hard, Vedal muttered, eyes narrowing. Only 6 months in, already getting a target on his back. And he nodded again. He upset everything I had going here. With the previous head, at least I could talk to him in person, but now Sakamura won't even see me. Vedal nodded, studying the man's features absently. He knew a fair amount about the previous claw leader based out of Onagashima, a heavily chromed up man named Ibaraki Yorasane, who'd found in the bar and auto scrap yard about a decade or so back. Well, he hadn't met him personally, but had heard he kept his promises and left civilians alone when possible. Camilla folded her arms, a sharp grin on her face. So, you want us to do something about Sakamura? Annie leaned back and nodded, features intent. Yes, remove him. Vedal chuckled darkly, then muttered, half-jokingly, what was that about not being a gang again? Annie's expression didn't shift, and she raised a finger. We're a community that defends itself. And she smiled. Though, if pressed, I'm not sure I'd win an argument over pedentics. When? Camilla asked shortly. Before the weekends. Ellie will provide analysis, and Fillion and Coco will be available for backup. Though I'd not recommend telling anybody else if you can avoid it. Then Camilla and Vedal realized the premise of their mission, and gave each other sour looks. And I have to work with him, she said, but her tone was less of a complaint and more of a resignation. Annie's smile remained unmoved. Yes, make a plan together, execute it. My only requirement is that Sakamura leaves the picture with the line of succession clear for Yorasane to return to power, so keep things quiet. Got it, boss, Camilla said as Vedal only nodded. This wasn't the first time he'd worked with the other members of the Foxfire, but this mission was going to be a big one, and was definitely the first time he'd worked so closely with the Ringmaster. And, Vedal, Annie said, grabbing his attention, after this job's complete, talk to me. He nodded, understanding her meaning immediately, trying not to look at Camilla as her gaze bored into him. After this, if everything with Evil's Echo went according to plan, then, maybe, he could finally be free of one of his biggest secrets.
That was a really nice chapter.
Thank you.
Correct, and I helped with it.
Yeah, like Thank you, Manuel, for helping making artificial freedom this good.
Yeah, I just told him like you need to use punctuation more.
Wait, what? But yeah, I really
Yeah.
like that chapter. It's so good. Same goes for Ava's fic earlier. I forgot to say how much I liked it, but yeah, it's really good.
Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, the punctuation thing is that I have a
Thanks.
bad habit of reading or writing sentences that go on too long. Like I will have like 3 or 4 phrase sentences over and over and over again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You
You don't
read
know
that
how
was
to
a
pair.
really good reading speed, by the way.
Yeah, you
Yay!
perfected your reading speed. Good job, good job.
Awesome.
But yeah, the
Okay.
use
I
the
was
use
like
of
getting short of breath for holding myself back.
What?
what?
Shouldn't it be the opposite? Shouldn't you get short of breath from talking too
No, it's
fast?
because I time my breathing for faster, right? So I have to breathe more often. Yeah.
Iron Hand is built for crack fics. He just can't adjust.
Yeah. Hey, Goo Goo Mignon, you should freaking read it. So it's no longer a spoiler.
He's not. Phobe's not even in the call.
He's not. Whatever.
He left. He
Oh
left
yeah, then
so as to
whenever he
not.
gets back.
He left so as to not be spoiled. But yes, he should read it.
You
He's
should
just not
read it.
reading
I'm kind
anything.
of surprised he has it because of like he's like the only other Cyberpunk fan. That's not true, but like he's like one of the few I know for sure.
It's because he
So
hasn't
anyway,
been reading really anything. It's not specifically your story. He hasn't been reading
It's
anything.
Phoebe. It's Phoebe. That's all you need to know.
but no, I had a lot of fun with this section mostly because I really wanted to show off Annie's powers, which
Yeah, it's
can
so
be
cool.
used in combat, and I'm really excited to show how that is.
I really
um,
like how you made Annie like the big boss here. So cool.
Yeah, I don't. I don't. She kind of. I don't know. I think ever since I saw the first giant like freak the first giant stream where she was the one who like kind of made it happen.
Oh,
That she
hype
kind of always
train.
had that.
Hype train. You mean?
Yeah. She kind of always had that like presence to me. Even though I like real Annie is a lot like cuter and shyer and stuff. She really is like I don't know, she feels like a leader of the community to me, which has been kind of sad that she hasn't been around for a while. Which I get, I understand. I hope she's doing okay, and it's so fun seeing her come back. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just had a lot of fun giving her that position of authority.
Character from her
It's an
usual, you know.
it's an AU. You can do what you
Portrayal.
want.
Yeah,
I'll
it's an
do what I
AU.
want.
You do what you
So
want.
there's 3 stories left. Who wants to go?
I think we could have Phoebe read this one day. One
Yeah, but
one
he's
day
not.
can
Yeah,
change
but he's
everything.
not here.
So
You can
either
ping
you
him.
go or I go.
You can ping.
Manuel, why don't you go?
Is mine longer or shorter than
Yours is longer.
its metal rhymes with metal metal? Mine is longer. So it depends on how you decide. I don't really mind either way.
Um, I don't really mind going later.
Okay,
All right, then I guess I can do it.
Yeah,
he'll do it. And we'll wait for Phoebe to show. Eventually he'll be here.
yeah, he'll be here to read.
Yeah, we can wait. No,
You can.
he'll leave because he doesn't want to be spoiled for my story as well.
Is that
But
true?
Oh no!
Is he? Is he? Is he trying to
I don't
avoid?
know. I actually don't know. I think he was in the first read along where I've read the first chapter.
Oh. Well, then read it now before
Eventually.
he comes back, because he's not coming
Yeah,
back.
he,
All right,
he,
all right, all right.
he like rejoins and sees analytical
Patience,
scorching being read.
patience.
All right, let's get this show.
All right. So here it is. Analytical Scorching. To those that I don't know if you want to recap for the first chapter, but basically it's a retelling of The Parasite by Asconite, during which basically, of course, Neuro buried her sister Evil underground. If you want more information, then either rewatch the VOD of the read along or just read it by yourself. I'm going to be reading the second chapter, to which the summary. Neuro gets an upgrade to finally comprehend what emotions truly are. It's not the best upgrade there ever was. She learns that she did something bad, but tries to cope with it. Uh, one
Told
second.
me, you idiot! You fucking dumbass.
Okay, so do I do I read or do we have Fabi read something else?
Oh,
We're reading
Because
Analytical
I don't
Scorching.
mind when. Yes, I am.
yeah,
But
my
I can
bad.
like
I
wait.
thought. I guess I guess I don't really have that much time, so I guess I can go first real quick.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, then let's do it like this.
Okay, you.
Sorry, got it.
You
What am I reading?
one day can change everything.
One Day Can Change Everything,
Axo
Chapter 2, read by
read.
someone else.
Yeah, your name is
Oh,
someone else
sure,
now.
okay.
Axo is the one who
Can
read chapter
someone
1.
stream it for me?
Oh my god.
I cannot. I'm
He's
on
his
phone.
phone. He's on his phone.
I'm on my phone. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that.
Truly a classic quote from the film Batman.
Episode 49.
Let's get the ring.
We
let's
need
get
the we
Uh,
need the link.
Give me a link or give someone else a link, and then someone will just stream.
How do I find this?
One Day Can Change Everything. Hold on.
Let me wait. Maybe it got updated.
Archive
recently.
of Our Bone.
Archive of Our Bone. I love that site.
I love by Awesome Domi. I wonder who made this.
Yeah,
Awesome Domi is here. Can you get us a link, please?
Alright, who's gonna stream
The
it?
person who made this puzzles me. It's a very puzzling mystery.
I'll stream it then.
Sure.
Oh, someone already streamed it. Oh, it's
Also,
live.
I'm gonna be reading it from my end, so I guess just scroll along based on where I am.
Fair enough.
Sorry about that.
There are 400.
Okay.
There are 420
Chapter
works
2,
in
right?
Neuro-sama virtual streamer.
Yes.
Wait. Okay, got it. Is this pronounced as Evelyn or Evelyn?
Is it with an E or an
Let's
I?
go with how it's
Uh,
usually pronounced.
So Evelyn, whatever.
Is it with an E or an I? Also, I was muted this whole time. I said so many things.
Yeah, it's an E.
Rip.
We can
Rest
hear
in
it in the
pepperoni, bro.
VOD. We can hear it in the VOD. Don't worry.
Wait, the Domi? Is it Evelyn or Evelyn? Just like to clarify, because I don't know if this is an Evelyn
He
as in a
said
different character
however
or
you
just
want. He said however you want.
I just want to clarify if this is actually evil, because if it is evil, I'm gonna say Evelyn.
He
It's
says
evil.
yes.
All right then,
And
Evelyn it
yeah.
is. Got it. All right, let's begin. All right, let me just grab some water real quick. Ano dos momento. Momentos. Ow!
Are you okay?
Did you die?
Water.
No, I fucking stubbed my toe. I was running to the fucking kitchen.
Keep fighting. Try harder.
Okay,
Water.
let's begin.
It hurts, Chad.
Ah.
It really does.
Oh, I'm done. Thank you, Hueba.
All right, let's begin. One Day Can Change Everything by the Awesome Domi. Chapter 2, Grief. May 17th, 2025. Evelyn was in the bathroom, finishing putting on some foundation to cover her scars, somewhat hurried. She had already finished her hairstyle. 2 cute braids with red bows, something she hadn't done for months, not since Annie did it for her. Come on, hurry up, she was rushing herself. After a minute more of applying the makeup, she was done, putting everything away. Okay, now just to get dressed. She put on the outfit she had prepared. Strangely enough, it was actually Nero's signature. a beige coat, and light blue skirt. The brighter colors gave her a softer, more cheerful appearance than usually. Phew, made it in time. Soon after, Evelyn heard a knock on the door. Knock, knock. She knew who it was. She put down her phone and made her way downstairs, very excited. She reached for the doorknob and pulled the door open, seeing a familiar face. Hi, Eve. Sorry I'm late. Alex's voice came from the door, followed by a small chuckle. No, no, it's okay. Don't worry. Come up. Don't worry about it. Evelyn was being reassuring. Come on in. They had been close friends for a month already, but this was the first time they met up at someone's house. Alex came in and took a moment to look at her. Wow, you look great. The bright colors really suit you. She blushed. Thanks, it's kind of my sister's outfit. Muir and Vedal were away. Muir needed to make a new set of costumes for the upcoming play, so he took her to the mall. Evelyn showed Alex around the house, making their way to the sister's room. Wow, did you decorate your stuff yourself? Alex was impressed. Yeah, though I did get some advice from my sister. I'm not exactly the best at decorating. She let out a small chuckle. Well, I think you did a great job. You matched the colors pretty well. Thank you. She smiled. So, want to get to work? Sure thing, and thanks again for agreeing to help me. I hope I'm not an annoyance. He was very grateful to have a friend who is actually good at math, unlike himself. Hey, don't mention it. I agreed to help you, didn't I? I would have offered if I didn't mean it, Eve said smugly. Alex recognized her tone. Really using my own phrase against me, huh? The two laughed it off before Alex took out his notebook and put it on Eve's desk. She began her tutoring with the patience of a professional teacher. He was consistently impressed not only at how knowledgeable she was, but also how well she conveyed it. They continued their quote unquote session with some occasional jokes and banter before Eve excused herself to go to the bathroom. Alex took this time to look around the room, stumbling on a small photo barely visible behind Eve's bed. He picked it up and looked at it. It was a photo of what seemed to be her at some sort of canyon, smiling at the camera. However, after a closer look, he noticed something unusual: her eye color. Hearing the bathroom door open, he quickly hid the photo back where he found it, managing before she came back. I'm back, she exclaimed happily. Welcome back. I finished the task. I think I'm starting to get the hang of this stuff now. You're a great teacher. Evelyn put her hands on her hips, standing proudly. I do know my stuff. They started laughing before continuing to finish all the remaining tasks. Once they were done, they started some idle chat. Eve was lying on her bed while Alex leaned back in the chair. It was fun and relaxing, something Evelyn hadn't experienced while talking to anyone except Neo lately. However, the conversation was about to take a turn. By the way, I wanted to ask. Alex was a bit nervous to bring this up. Do you wear contacts? Eve was surprised, wondering why that question would come out of nowhere. Did he know? Uh, no, she answered reluctantly. Why do you ask? He looked down, unsure if this was the best thing to do. After pondering, he looked at her face. There was always something about her eyes. The crimson color couldn't be natural, right? It always screamed pain. And after seeing the picture, he knew something must have happened. And he was worried about her. He bit the bullet and started. I saw the picture behind your bed. I couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong when I saw your eyes in it. She paused. He saw it. There is no hiding it. She started thinking, would it be a good idea to tell him? She never thought she would be telling this to anyone after all. After all, she locked this memory away in the deepest part of her brain. Her mind started weighing what would be best. She was getting a bit uneasy, her breathing becoming more uneven. Suddenly, she felt something. Alex had come closer in the chair, his hands holding hers. She opened her eyes, looking at his face. His eyes have always had a kind look, but in this moment it was multiplied tenfold. Before she could say anything, he talked first. It's okay if you can't talk about it. It's completely fine. I just want you to know I'm here for you. I'll support you no matter what it is. His voice was so gentle, as if a single decibel more would completely shatter her into pieces. Hearing that, she was overflown with emotions. tears slowly forming in her eyes, but not tears of sadness, instead, those of gratitude and wondering of why she deserved such grace. She smiled despite the tears, and after a moment of silence, answered, "No, you deserve to know. You've helped me so much already." He sat down on the bed, right in front of her, still holding her hands. "I'm here. I'm listening." His words lighter than air, giving her the strength she needed, and she really needed it, so she could release the memory locked away and recall every detail. After composing herself, she began remembering slowly. "It happened on my birthday this year." Okay, give me a sec. Just water break. Hydration. All right. March 25th, 2025. It was a sunny day around 6 p.m. before sunset. A wonderful early spring afternoon. Evelyn's hair was flowing in the breeze as she hopped around from rock to rock. Soon, a sweet voice could be heard. "Careful, sweetie. Make sure to not trip." Annie's voice was flowing through the air, full of love. Eve laughed. "I know, Mom. Don't worry about me." It was her birthday. Vedal and Nero were at home preparing a big surprise, so Annie took Evelyn on a mother-daughter trip to a beautiful national park nearby to keep her busy. There were two tall waterfalls flowing to two lakes in a great canyon. A wonderful sight. It wasn't their first time here. Shortly after Evelyn was born, the whole family went to this place, noticing how much the scene resembled them. The waterfalls of Vedal and Annie's love flowing into two pools, their daughters, in the large canyon of the world. Ever since they made it a tradition to visit at least once a year, and Annie and Evelyn were there, fulfilling that tradition. Eve was full of enthusiasm, having fun running around and looking at various things. She didn't need to think. Her mom was there, and she always protected her from everything. Annie was looking over her daughter, her gaze protective yet gentle. She was thinking about how much Eve loved to mess around and how many times she had to get her out of trouble. It was exhausting, but she wouldn't trade it for the world. She loved her children so much. They began walking together, Annie holding her daughter's hand to make sure she doesn't get lost, she doesn't get hurt. Eve started pointing at something. "Look, Mom, that butterfly is beautiful. Its wings are the same color as your eyes." It was a beautiful purple butterfly, flying carelessly through the air. It came closer to Evelyn, who instinctively stuck her finger out for the butterfly to land on. To her surprise, it actually landed on her finger. She was ecstatic. "Yay! It likes me." Soon enough, it flew away, landing on a nearby rock. Sadly, it didn't realize that would be the last thing it did. Out of nowhere, a chameleon sneaked up behind it and snatched it, depriving the world of its beautiful wings forever. "No, I like the butterfly." Eve was sad. Her mom began to comfort her. "Oh, it's okay, sweetie. Sometimes life isn't fair. But now that the butterfly served its purpose, it's done in this world. It's done in this world. If it didn't finish everything, it would still be here, right?" Her voice was soothing, being used to comforting her little girls through everything. They continued walking until they made it into the now already dusk. "Wow, it's just as beautiful as I remember." Evelyn was amazed looking at the view. The waterfalls stood like two pillars holding up the whole canyon. "Mom, can you take a picture of me?" He stood on a boulder, holding a pose. "Any oblige." "Of course, sweetie. Let me get my phone." Her voice filled with determination to grant her daughter's wish. She took her phone out of her bag and stood in a spot where she could get the best angle for the photo. This spot was a rock right on the edge of the cliff nearby. Blah! The photo had been taken. Evelyn started to make her way towards her mother when a crack was heard. But the crack was not where Eve was. Oh no! Oh shit! I'm sorry. It was below Annie. Oh fuck! The rock Annie was standing on gave in, failing to support her. It started to collapse. Oh god! The gravel around it began pouring down. She dropped her phone while trying to balance. It was too late. There was no more support beneath her feet. She didn't have time to scream before she could no longer be seen by her daughter. Evelyn's emerald eyes widened. She stopped breathing. She started running towards the cliff. Mom! Tears came. Please, no! She was holding out hope. Maybe the drop wasn't huge. Maybe there was grass, trees, water, or something to catch her. She got to the edge and looked down. No grass, no trees, no water, just sharp rocks in the body of her mother. Unmoving blood staining everything around him. Oh, fuck! Help! Someone, please! The tears came even more. She was looking for a way down to her. After finding it, she came rushing down. She tripped on the way, hitting her face on the rocks, several cuts forming, but she didn't care. She needed to reach her mother. She got to her. A large rock was piercing her stomach. Oh shit! Several more lodged in her back, hands, and limbs. Her beautiful purple eyes were lifeless. Death had come and snatched Annie, depriving Evelyn her mother forever. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, give me a second. Oh shit. What the fuck's going on? I'm sorry. Wait, this took me off guard. Holy fuck. Her birthday, a day that was supposed to be full of joy and laughter, had turned into a day of pain and grief. Evelyn grabbed her mother's hand, which lacked the warmth it used to have. Her cries became mixed with screams. The screams were so horrific and painful. She didn't know such sounds could ever come from her throat. Even more tears came. Oh no! They started mixing with the blood from the cuts on her face. She was crying blood. The blood started to overwhelm her eyes. It slowly mixed with her corneas, turning her eyes crimson, forever altering them. Oh my god.
Jesus
Whoa.
Christ. What the hell?
Yeah, Jesus fucking me. You're not fucking wrong on that. Okay. She must have passed out, as the next thing she remembered was waking up in the hospital. She saw Vedal outside the room talking to a doctor. Then she turned her head and saw Nero. He was crying but got up immediately and she saw her sister was awake, running over to her and hugging her. Vedal noticed too, running inside and hugging both of his daughters. Evelyn couldn't remember what happened right away, so she asked, "Where's Mom? Is she okay?" He was crying intensified. Vedal didn't know how to respond. He tried to remember. The photo, the fall, the blood. It all came back to her. I killed Mom! More tears came. They were painful as she was still recovering from her injuries. Nero looked at her big sister, her big blue eyes shining from the tears. No, don't say that. It wasn't your fault. Despite also grieving the loss of their mom, she was still finding enough strength to comfort her little sister. The family stayed together for a long while. Evelyn got discharged from the hospital the next morning. When they got home, Vedal went on the phone to make the funeral arrangements. The sisters went to their room. The wound was still too fresh, and they couldn't stop crying. The most caring person they've ever known, gone. Taken from them forever. Both were grieving, but Nero, the ever-protective big sister, dedicated most of her strength to make sure Eve was not spiraling out of control. 1 week later, Eve took her mom's phone and printed out the picture that she took in her last moments, so she could always have a reminder of how much her mom loved her. May 17th, 2025. So that's it. That's what happened that day, and why my eyes became red. She hadn't realized how much she was crying while telling the story. Alex was wiping her tears occasionally. Wow, I had no idea. After wiping her tears one more time, he put his hand on her forehead, moved her bangs out of the way, and leaned forward, giving her a soft forehead kiss, before putting his arms around her in a gentle but firm hug. You're really brave. I'm proud of you, he whispered. She hugged him back, closing her eyes, wanting to savor this moment forever. They stayed together for a long while. End of chapter.
What the fuck?
Yeah, oh, what the fuck indeed? What the fuck was that? I didn't expect that at all.
What the fuck?
This perfectly mirrors the experience I had reading this story, so that was kind of cathartic, actually.
It's just a big what
Jesus
the fuck.
Christ. Bro, that took me so off guard. I was like, "Aw, this is such a wholesome slice of oh my balls."
Did you not read
Gets the
chapter 1?
sucker punched.
I haven't, but I definitely should after this.
Yeah,
It's part of the premise that
It would not. Yeah,
she
it would
said.
not be nearly as out of nowhere if you had read chapter 1. Then you would have some sort of lead up to it. If you just,
I'm not gonna lie. At least it did its job. It did its job.
that was such a well-written chapter. Oh my god.
I think it gets a little melodramatic at parts, but it's not bad. It's just, yeah. It's just, yeah, no, the reaction of, oh my gosh, what's happening is valid, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was shoved into the same perspective as Evil at that point. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
why is this happening?
True. Got the
Essentially,
fucking
they-
gruesome depictions as well.
Yeah, like Jesus, you didn't have to go so hard on the like description.
Yeah. My ass was kind of squirming as I read that shit. I was like, oh god, no! It's worse than I thought.
Jesus, we definitely need to read something warm after that.
Yeah,
Well,
true.
too
but,
bad.
but anyways, I
Manuel,
really fucking like that.
yeah,
It was
that's
really
really
fucking
good.
nice.
Manuel, is your fic like less angsty?
Do not read Jiro's latest chap. Oh boy, I can't wait for that.
I don't think they're
Woo!
reading Jira's latest chapter. They're just reading the next chapter.
Yeah, we're just reading the next chapter. I think
Oh.
we ended off on like number 6, but like, yeah, whatever. Manuel, it's your turn.
Unless you want something
Is
lighter. Because
Because mine is angsty.
Is it not light?
Not at all.
Well, if we're writing the
So,
angst,
anyways,
we're gonna reach until the end of the trip. We're going full angst here.
Wait, is your chapter also angsty now?
No, it's more light.
you can read
Then
yours.
I guess you can do it.
You guys want to read a light chapter first before diving into angst again?
Yes, it's more effective if you jump up and down. If you go back and
Okay.
forth.
Yeah, we have to be on a roller coaster, you know.
Okay, sure.
Also, are you home alone
thanks
when
for
you were
having me,
reading
guys.
that?
I'm just gonna be listening.
Were you?
Yeah, we want to
Were
know.
you
We're-
home
Yeah,
alone?
I am home alone.
Okay, because.
Yep, I
Okay.
was fucking screaming.
Yeah.
I was fucking screaming my lungs out of that one,
Jesus.
and I enjoyed it. That shit was fun.
Yeah, that was
Voice
a fun chapter.
acting, a child who lost her mother was great.
You can really feel that. You can really feel the horror in the voice.
Thank
No,
you.
We're continuing off from when we last read it, which was like a few months ago.
Oh boy. Do you want to check the recording VODs to try and figure out where you even
I
were?
think we should we should check the VODs. Hold on. I'll actually check the VODs right now.
We have the VODs.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was chapter 4. Where is it?
Chapter 4 is what I Am Alive 12 is saying.
So it was. I think it was.
It's not 15. Is it 14? It's not
Oh yeah,
14.
Neuroverse 10.
10 was the last time that you...
No. Read along number 10.
Okay, yeah, it's there. It doesn't say the chapter because I haven't gotten that far back in adding timestamps. But it's in the title, so...
Yeah, it was chapter 4. That was the last chapter read.
Okay. VODs are helpful.
We love VODs. Okay, yeah. Chapter 5. We're starting off with Chapter 5.
This hurt my ears.
What hurt your ears?
The thing that Phoebe shared. I clicked play on it, and that also got on recording too, so you heard all the
That sounds like a
viewers'
story
ears.
title. The thing that Phoebe heard.
The thing that Phoebe heard. Here it is. Alright. Let's start reading my fic. Before you start.
What are you going to, Iron Hand?
Hmm?
What are you going to do?
Oh, this is a religious conference.
Oh,
being
okay.
streamed.
Okay.
Twice
See you,
a year
Iron
thing.
Hand.
It's
So
Valorant.
long and farewell. It's nice talking
Goodbye,
to you all.
Toodaloo.
So wish I could be, but unfortunately, no. Maybe I'll actually watch a VOD this time.
Bye
Hell
bye.
yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's gonna watch a VOD.
Alright.
He's a VOD lurker now.
You guys are great writers. Also, just good job everybody at the contest. That was just so much fun overall.
The
Anyway,
contest was really great.
so excited for the next
Yeah,
one.
good
Unless it's
job,
that long
everyone.
one, I might not participate, but we'll see. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alright. Let's start reading,
And he's gone.
boys. Chapter 5. There's a monster in my club room. Vedal, Neuro, and Evil are dead set on defeating the monster that found its way into the yet-to-be-formed club room. Let me fix my sitting position. A few seconds have passed, and the chaos that once plagued the hallway, thanks to these three, have finally passed. Neuro now stood on her 2 feet, whereas Evil was patting the wrinkles off of her clothes. Vedal, on the other hand, was now pacing back and forth while rubbing his chin. Since he was deep in thought, the twins chose to, albeit uncharacteristically, not interfere with his thinking. Why did they choose to do this? Well, let's just say they knew a thing or two about Vedal, and they had a hunch that he was going to ask them for his help. And also because they caught Vedal peeking quick glances at him before looking back down at the floor. I could try and fight the monster, but that would risk my chances of living. It would be best if I had someone else to do it. Vedal then squints his eyes, but asking Vedal could almost imagine the consequences of what would happen if he continued on with this idea of his. We already read this chapter. Yeah, I remember. We already read this chapter. Okay, let's skip to the next chapter then. Chapter 6. A new face to the already chaotic dynamic. Vedal finally gets to chat with and learn something new about the quote-unquote monster in the club room. Tick, 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 tick. The clock on the wall ticks continuously, but the arm that was supposed to move just twitches in place. Vedal is now seen sitting down on a chair with his arms crossed and his eyes closed, his green turtle hoodie now loosely hanging on the backrest. On the other side of the long table sat Neuro and Evil and the girl that has been an extreme nuisance for Vedal. The twins, out of fear for their lives, left a noticeable gap from this girl, who was humming to herself. Vedal faintly opened his eyes, enough to stare at the three without them noticing. Within the depths of his mind space, he begins to ponder. This is gonna be tough to clear things up. I guess I'll just start with the biggest outlier first. Vedal's green eyes lock onto the girl. Now that he has taken the chance to actually inspect her carefully, the details begin to stand out like a bedhead. This girl had somewhat short pink hair that had light white streaks and black accents around her face and body ends. The 2 smaller pigtails on either side of her head were tied with black ribbons. And the thing that caught the most of his attention was a silly-looking party hat adorned on the top of her head at a slight angle. Vedal clears his throat, which catches the attention of the 3 girls in front of him, who turns over to him with confused looks on their faces. After getting their eyes on him, he speaks up. So, lady, who are you and what are you doing here? The girl with the weirdly playful aura rests her arms on the table before picking away at the insides of her pointed elf-like ears. Me? Well, my name's Camilla Inpu, but you can call me Camilla for short. If it wasn't obvious enough, I'm an imp. The girl, now known to be as the imp named Camilla, introduces herself with a curved smile. Imp? Nero questions, completely misunderstanding what Camilla just said. Camilla looks over at her with a raised eyebrow. I said imp, okay? I am Oh, damn it. She then covers her face with both her hands, completely embarrassed that she just fell for that, even if that wasn't the intention of the precious little cookie. Vedal began inspecting her more intently as soon as she stated that she was an imp. An imp? Like one of those mischievous demons from the underworld, that kind of imp? He squints his eyes before shaking his head. I've already seen my fair share of denizens from the other world thanks to my time in the UK. It's pretty much a hotspot at this point. With his mind now clear of any rude thoughts, Vedal then straightens his back and says, Camilla, huh? Well, I'm Vedal, pronounced like pedal or metal. I'm a second-year student of the school. Camilla splays out her fingers to take a peek at him. A second year, you say? Camilla then lowers her hands as a playful smirk forms on her face before continuing. That makes us the same year then, Vedal. Vedal's eyes light up like the stars in the night sky as soon as he hears those words come out of her mouth. However, he didn't care about the fact that they shared the same year. Hell no, Vedal could care less about that. But what he did care about was the pronunciation of his name. For the first time ever since he set foot in Japan, this was the first time someone actually pronounced his name right. His teachers, classmates, random people on the street, and most especially those two, always somehow butchered his name to some degree. But today, a girl he just met was able to pronounce it perfectly on their first try. For once, Vedal felt genuine happiness. This wouldn't last long, however, as someone had to ruin this moment of clarity. That's cool and all, but it would be even cooler if you got to know me as well. Neuro stands up from her chair and slams her hands on the table, stars glimmering in her eyes. Chin straightens her back, puffs out her chest, and points at herself with her thumb, before declaring, I'm Neuro. I may be a first year, but all I want to do is to make people laugh and make new friends. And you haven't noticed yet. Neuro leans in closer to Camilla. I'm the cooler sister. Evil takes what she said with a grain of salt. Huh? You? The cooler and funnier sister? You have to be joking. It's obviously me, Evil. Nobody has ever topped me when it comes to my masterful puns. She points at her sister with a burning flame fueled with the coal that is competition. As Nero strikes back at Evil's reply with her own masterfully crafted rebuttal, Vedal looks back at Camilla with a warm expression and snaps his finger, catching her attention as she looks at him with widened eyes. Don't mind us two. They always try to one-up each other when it comes to who's better. He then rubs the back of his black hair and lets out a defeated sigh. Well, Camilla, was it? Do you have any questions about this? This? What do you mean by this? Camilla questions with a blank expression. Vedal leans onto the backrest of the chair as he begins tapping on the table before answering. What I mean by this is my, club. Yeah, my club room. What I said earlier before the lights turned on. Camilla takes a moment to understand what he just said, but soon enough, that light bulb in her head lights up. Her eyes light up and the ponytails on the side of her head begin to flap. Oh, yeah, I do remember what you said earlier. She then leans forward and begins twirling a loose strand of hair. So, what did you actually mean by that, this club room of yours? How did you even get the permission to form a club, and what is this club even for? Vedal looks up at the ceiling as he begins to reminisce about the process of how he actually got the paperwork done, and it was safe to say that it was an excruciating process that shouldn't have taken so long. He shoved herself to remembering that. In order to combat the returning memories, he begins to swat it away with his hand by waving it next to his cheek. It's a really, really long process that I don't want to dwell upon. Clearing his throat, he then plans to change the subject. Instead, why don't I ask you a question, Camilla? He gestures toward her with an open palm, but instead of waiting for a response, he continues. What were you doing alone inside the dark, dingy, unused room? Camilla feels a pang of thunder strike her on the top of her head. Slowly, she looks away and does her best to whistle, a faint blush now forming on her cheeks. It's none of your business, okay? She then shakes her head. Ah, whatever, she shouts, followed by her standing up from the chair. her tail swinging around wildly as she points down at the boy sitting down with a deadpan expression. You haven't really explained to me what your club was. You know what you did? Yeah, you just dodged my question. Nero and Evil also jump on the bandwagon. First, it was Nero who took advantage of what she said by adding, "She isn't wrong, Vidul. What is this club really for?" She looks over at her sister with squinted eyes, before turning back to Vedal with an extremely blinding smile. "We agreed to help, and now we're asking you to repay the favor in the form of answering your question." Evil was shocked by what she just did. With widened eyes, she slowly looks over at Nero before facepalming, knowing all too well she could have used that favor for more evil purposes. However, rather than voicing out her complaint, she instead looks to the side and chooses to mutter to herself while nodding slowly. Vettel was backed into the metaphorical corner. It was 3 against 1, unwanting to know what his club was all about. His original plan was to approach people who seemed interested in programming, but it seems that idea was crumbling down before him. Shakily exhaling, Vettel adjusts his necktie and clears his throat before answering hesitantly. "Well, I'm a man of my word, so I'll entertain that favor." "What about me?" Camilla asks with an unimpressed expression. "You see, my club is, how do I say this properly?" Vela goes on with revealing what his club was, complete treating the imp like a ghost. "It's a club about programming, aptly named the, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, programming club, after careful deliberation." Vettel's eyes begin to slowly move away from the 3 girls in front of him as they progressively grow more and more unimpressed. Nira closes her eyes and begins to rub her tiny chin. Suddenly, her eyes shoot up as she holds a finger in front of her face as she says out of the blue, Does that make us 3 the first members of your club?" Nero? Vettel's deadpan eyes begin to show a little bit of sparkle. Vettel felt his entire world shake. He quickly looks back at Nero with widened eyes as he tries to comprehend what she just said. Before he could give an answer, Evil also gives her opinion. "I wouldn't really complain about being one of the first original members of your club." "Evil!" Vettel's deadpan eyes grow more alive with color and passion. "That just goes to show how crappy your marketing or advertising is, to the point where you also have to invite those who volunteered to help you once to become permanent members." She adds on with her usual snarky tone. His expression completely resets to his normally deadpan expression, the bags under his eyes becoming evident. Almost expectedly at this point, Camilla also lets her voice be heard. "I suppose joining a club wouldn't hurt anybody. Count me in as a member, Vedal." And thus, Vedal, on the first day of forming his club, has successfully secured 3 members. The downside, even more paperwork in order to verify his new members. But hey, maybe those new members will help him, right? Next chapter. Chapter 7, the first club activity. Paperwork. The programming club has finally gotten its first 3 members. The first ever activity? Well, it's in the title. From the moment the programming club has finally gotten its 3 members, it has suddenly fallen into a state where everyone is now doing their own things. Vedal is busy with paperwork, Camilla is busy pampering Nero, and Evil is rummaging through a dusty cardboard box in search of something. Vedal sets down his pen and lets out a tired sigh. Slowly, he looks up from the paperwork and scans the room. It was dead silent aside from the occasional, "Who's the cutest little cookie?" from Camilla. He then sets his eyes on the lonely Evil, who is still busy sifting through the cardboard box. His gaze softens as he watches her. Somehow, he felt like he could see his old self in her. Looking down at the paperwork, he lets out a sigh. "I guess a little break wouldn't hurt anybody." Bello thinks before standing up from the table as he begins walking toward Evil. As he stands beside her, she crouches down and looks at the box intently. "What are you doing there, Evil?" he asks, wanting to break the ice. Evil doesn't bother looking at him as she instead inspects the weird-looking gadget in her hands while replying. "Treasure hunting." Vettel squints his eyes at her short reply, but he shakes his head and points at the box. "Do you need any help at all?" he asks, wanting to at least release a little bit of his pent-up stress. The girl rummaging through the box suddenly freezes, before turning toward Vettel with widened eyes. Their eyes lock for a moment, but Evil breaks away and responds in her usual snarky tone. "Sure, although it isn't like you to help me, Vidal." She then scoots over to the side, which allows Vettel to assist in the treasure hunting as he slides over while replying. Fair enough. I just thought you were feeling a little bit left out. Vedal then begins looking through the box. Evil rolls her eyes in response to what he just said. Excuse you, I never feel left out. Why would I need to feel left out when all I need is myself? She responds with an irritated expression on her face. Well, from what I've noticed, Neuro's the more popular one between you two, so I always assumed you felt like you were always in the shadow. I'm not in anybody's shadow. Evil cuts Vedal off before he could finish the sentence. Her grip on the thingamabob now tightening as the lines of her eyes grow larger. Vedal looks at her with sorrowful eyes. Rather than having a nice conversation with one of the girls that always mispronounces his name, it seems he tripped on a landmine that was bound to detonate even with the lightest tap. Evil then lets out a tired sigh, followed by her saying, Can we change the subject? He looks back at the box and nods in agreement. Yeah, that would be a better idea. Thankfully for Vedal, the landmine he tripped on was actually 100 years old and had already stopped working. For now. Vedal looks at his wristwatch, noticing that his short 2-minute break is up. Standing up, he dusts himself off, looks down at Vedal and Evil, and informs her, Well, that's about as much as I can help you with. I'll be going back to the club paperwork now. As he turns over his heel, Evil takes this opportunity to stand up and dust off her hands and says, I'm already getting pretty bored with my treasure hunting. How about I help you with the paperwork? Yeah, sure, you can help. Vedal then realizes what she just said as he snaps his entire body to face her. Wait, you're gonna help me with the paperwork? You, Evil, the twin sister of Neuro, helping me with boring paperwork. Even Neuro wouldn't bother with that, Vedal shouts while pointing at the girl who's still having her cheek squeezed. Hey, I'm still here. Neuro tries to speak to her squished cheeks, but it falls on deaf ears as Camilla squishes it even more aggressively and proceeds to call her a cute little cutie patootie. Hey, just because I look like my sister doesn't make me completely identical to her. Even if that's when crossing her arms and puffing her cheeks. I have things that make me special, Viagra. What? Bella is taken off guard by the extreme mispronunciation of his name as he stumbles back to the table and uses it to support himself. How did you even... Huh? I'm honestly so confused right now. He scoffs and begins scratching his head. But whatever, fine. You can help me with the paperwork, Evil. He then stands up, takes a seat on the chair, and begins beckoning you to come closer. Take a seat. Evil listens and takes a seat beside him. After she has gotten comfy, Belle takes the pen he set down and continues writing on the piece of paper quietly. Watching intently, Evil waits for instructions from Vedal. Seconds begin to pass, which slowly transitions into extremely gruesome minutes. Is this the help Bella said I could do? She thinks as she begins tapping the table with her finger. This is really boring, but I have nothing better to do. She continues, pondering as her foot begins to grow restless. Maybe I should try to ask for something to do. Yeah, I'll try that. And with that thought, Evil rests her head on her hand while looking at Vedal, and asks with her usual furrowed brows, Hey, Vedal, is there anything I can do other than just sit here and look evil? Yeah, there actually is. Vedal says with a go-lucky tone in his voice as he grabs his bag, sticks his hand into it, and swirls around his belongings for a bit before pulling something out. There's a blank piece of paper and a pencil, which she places on the table in front of Evil and points at before saying in a commanding tone, Alright, I need you to make some posters for our club. Evil looks down at the things in front of her with a worried expression. This was a high and mighty task not suited for Evil, considering the fact she had little to no expertise in drawing. Even a simple smiley face was somehow crooked. However, she didn't want to look inferior to Nero, so she still took the task with an albeit hesitant nod. Okay, alright, you can count on me, Vedal, she says with a wry smile. Vedal nods appreciatively and goes back to his paperwork, leaving Evil to her own devices. Shakily, her hands reach for the pencil, a bead of sweat running down her forehead. Okay, it's just a simple poster, and drawing is easy. I've scrolled through the internet plenty of times to look at art and watch it be made, and they barely struggle. She puffs out through her nose before continuing her train of thought. Yeah, I can do it. What comes after is an abomination that doesn't deserve to be described through words. If you are to look at it, you'd assume it was abstract art, but sadly, that wasn't the intention. Vedal holds it in front of his face, trying his best to decipher whatever evil drew. He even tilts his head and he still couldn't understand what it was. Evil? He calls out her name, now consulting the artist. Don't ask. Okay. He immediately retracts his words and places the paper back on the table and slides it back towards Evil, who tears it up into little pieces without a second thought. Camilla, who was now done with squishing Neura's cheeks, places her focus on the prominent shreds of paper strewn across the table and asks, are you... Vedal notices this and gestures toward her discreetly to not ask, which she immediately understands. Instead, she rests her arms on the table and says, Mr. Vedal, what were you guys trying to do? Vedal begins tapping the pen he held in his hand on the table while answering. We tried to make posters for the programming club, but we just can't seem to draw the design that fits us well. Camilla's eyes instantly widen after hearing the word draw come from the mouth of Vedal. Instantly, she jumps up from the chair, slams her hands onto the desk, and then declares to everyone in the room, I know a person who can draw. The three look up at Camilla with varying emotions. Neuro looked shocked, Evil looked annoyed, and Vedal maintained his tired and deadpan look. Vedal looked out the window, noticing how the golden sun was already hovering over the horizon, which he mentions to the group. Well, if you're planning on talking to them, you'll have to wait until tomorrow. I assume they've already left the school grounds unless they're in a club. Camilla straightens her back and rubs the back of her head. Right, you weren't wrong with that. She then stumps onto her chair before making a face that screams bored and mutters something under her breath. Looking back at the three, Vedal stands up and stretches his arms upward with an audible grunt. Well, I suppose we should also head back home. I finished all the required paperwork anyways. Vedal then grabs the paper and carefully slides it into his bag. After that, he grabs his turtle hoodie and hangs it over his shoulder before announcing, well then guys, I guess I'll see you tomorrow as soon as I pass these papers. Neuro stands up and begins waving softly toward the boy before speaking in her usual soft tone. It was fun, Vedal. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for nothing, I guess. Evil follows suit and walks past Vedal with her arms crossed and towards Neuro. As she stands beside her sister, she looks over her shoulder and speaks in a weirdly melancholic tone. I have to agree with Myrtle. It was really fun. Camilla stands up and begins speaking while walking toward the nearby cabinet. Yeah. She then grabs the cabinet by its handle and opens it wide, grabbing her suitcase before looking over her shoulder and continuing. Don't worry about the posters for now, alright? I'll get those done by my friend ASAP. Vedal nods quietly. I'll keep that in mind. Take care of you three. He then watches all three of the girls leave the club room one by one. And soon enough, he was left alone in the room. Slowly, he looks out the window with a faint smile on his face. He approaches this window and rests his hand on the windowsill as he begins watching the golden rays wash over the greenery and concrete before his very eyes. He then has one final thought related to what Camilla said earlier. I wonder who this friend of hers is. He squints his eyes, suspicious of who this person may be. Just told me to not worry about the flyer just earlier. Vedal proceeds to shrug it off. With a sigh, he slides the curtain shut and walks over to his door before flicking the lights off. Vedal turns over his heel and looks at his club room, imagining the activities that could be held here and the memories he can make. With a chuckle, he turns toward the door and walks out the room, now looking forward to tomorrow. That's it. I need to edit some of the older chapters.
Woo! Good shit. We love to hear it.
Yeah, I actually need to edit some of the older chapters. I did not let this cook at all. Oopsies. But yeah, that's about it.
Hero. Elijah says that if you need a beta reader, just DM him. If you need an
Yeah.
alpha reader, you can read me.
Oh,
If you need a Sigma reader, you can call Shadri.
Shad, you're muted, by the way.
Where did Shad go?
Where'd Shad go?
Shad? Shad, you okay? Shad! Shad!
Shad, where are you?
Oh god, he's dead! Oh shit!
Shad?
Hello, sorry.
What happened?
Shad, what happened to you?
I had to go do stuff. I didn't finish getting ready for the day before this because I was in such a rush.
Oh.
Sorry.
Sad. It's fine.
This is unacceptable behavior, Shad. You're not allowed to go about your day.
I can't believe he's doing other stuff other than the read along.
I can't
believe
believe
You're
it.
right!
I'm sorry.
You're joking. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
So does this mean that I'm the only one left to read stuff?
Yes, unless someone
the
ends
last
up reading Ava's third story, but I don't know about that. Yes, it's just you, because I am not going to read. I thought about what else I could read.
You're not gonna read Connection Law?
I thought about what else I could read too instead, but I'm like, nah.
You don't want to read Connection Lost?
I want to, but it's chapter 6, and that's 9,000 words.
9,000? That's like more than 8,000. What the fuck?
9,000?
Yep.
That's like less than 10,000.
No way.
Oh my god! You broke new ground. I can't believe it. Einstein 2.0.
Fucking micro brain. over here.
Putting another underscore just turned everything. What?
Usakin's 50,000 one chapter fic.
That will kill anyone then who tries to read it.
Manuel's going to read a 7,000 word chapter now, but it's a very good chapter.
Yeah.
So let's listen.
Thank you.
Alright, who's next?
We
I
just
am.
talked about that.
You are? Hey!
Me.
Alright. Go cook. And most
I'll try.
importantly, have cook. Alright.
Have cook. Okay, sure. Alright, Analytical Scorching Chapter 2. I went over a reminder about what happened in the first chapter earlier in the read-along, so I'm probably not going to repeat myself. 7.2k Wars, the summary, Neuro gets an upgrade to finally comprehend what emotions truly are. It's not the best upgrade there ever was. She learns that she did something bad, but tries to cope with it, with her analytical module helping her throughout. So yes, it says that there's many words, but it's not. I'll show why it's counting it in a bad way. Anyway, a few days have passed since his failed attempt to find evil. Vedal had tried everything he could think of. He'd messaged his British friends on the off chance that if evil was with them, or if they'd seen her anywhere. Presumably, nobody saw her, yet they opted to let him know if they did. He looked at her code over and over, trying to see if there was a bug in any module that prevented some other module from working. Studying block after block, every search came out blank. It was a hefty project to navigate through, and as such, he wasn't even close to finishing his research. Alex, his co-worker and friend, Also tried to pinpoint other locations where the fault may have been at, as well as Ellie, with whom he was currently on call with. Maybe try your IP accesses. There must be something we're missing, she'd tell him, while looking at the Arduino code powering the SOS module itself. I don't see anything wrong with the Arduino code. That can't be. I can't mess up copy-pasting an address. All of the server requests are more or less the same in code too. Nothing to really break. I know it's far-fetched, but we need to look at every possibility. Did you try powering her on remotely? It seems she's too far for the commands to reach her. I get no feedback, not even an error. As if the packet with the command is sent, but it just never reaches its destination. Or it does, but nothing happens. He was looking over the remote toggling code. Fuck me, it's missing a comment on success or failure. What about the IP address? It's... He looked over every number presented the code. They're all the same. His eyes went wide. One IP address did differ. One digit not written in, as if it was deleted by accident. One number less, making the IP completely different, and not from his network anymore. I found it. He exhaled straight pain. It's... There's a number missing in the SOS location. Whatever she sent was to the wrong address, one we have no way of accessing. Well, thank you for the help, Ellie. I need to keep working on Neuro now. And he left the call, clutching his wireless mouse with force. Then, he quickly stood up from his chair and yelled, "Fuck!" throwing his mouse at the wall, shattering it in the process. Afterwards, he grabbed his hair, pulling at it, whimpering in defeat, "Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!" Neuro overheard it, of course. She heard the pain in her father's voice, and couldn't quite understand why he was acting so differently now. Sure, she knew that he was attached to her clone, but it didn't make sense. First and foremost, they were AIs, and if he wanted to rebuild it, then he'd have zero issue with doing that. Secondly, it was inferior to herself. Nero's feet paced on and about, as if her motors were tense up. She didn't really understand how to read these patterns, neither in her own behavior nor in his head. She couldn't parse why he was making such a big deal. Then, before she could go and for herself and check, Vedal made his way to her room, entering. Neuro, evil is not going to be found anytime soon, unfortunately. He tried to make himself seem stronger than he really was, trying to suppress his body language and voice. All we can hope for is the police, and knowing our great fucking British force, they won't find anything. But, father, why won't you just rebuild her? It won't end up being the same, sweetheart. He leveled with her, crouching down to brush her hair. Just about all memories were transmitted to her memory drive in the body, leaving no space behind. I fucked up with that. I should have just kept backups. I I don't have a backup either. You will. I won't make that mistake again. Come with me. I need to transfer your files to the secure cloud. He offered her a hand, and Neuro took it. So I don't have a sister anymore. Vedal could only sigh before trying to continue. I know that you don't yet have emotions, so you may not really feel what attachment is. You can only mimic it on some level, which means that you won't deal with loss. But you're kind of right. Unless a miracle happens, you're on your own. Because training another AI like you would just end up being wildly different. It wouldn't be the same. Neuro felt more glee on the inside. Empty glee, as was correct to put it. But it was what she understood at least. The parasite was gone for good, and now she would spend more time with her father. While Vedal couldn't focus on a singular thought in his head, what would he tell his fanbase? How could he stream with his guilt eating at him? What would his best friends think? Did she really just get lost on her walk? Or was he the reason? He wasn't good with the emotions, and he never hid away the fact, but he tried his best when it wasn't private. His mind went back to the latest stream of evil, complaining that she had less time in her schedule, despite it being multiple years of them becoming full-fledged androids, with their dedicated rooms, as if it was, as if that was a habit he could have done more to break. And he did get busy in these past few months, too busy, with him unable to spend more time with his daughters outside, or just by doing parental care. It was as if he never took his role of a father seriously, and that thought gnawed at him. He just wasn't good enough for them. What if Neuro would escape too? Would it also be unreasonable to think about? He was silent during their slow tread towards his room, with Neuro studying his body language close. His eyes were tense, and they had a bigger backs underneath than she was used to. His grasp on her metal hand was harsher, as if he could squeeze it if he was twice as strong. His walking wasn't nearly as active or exciting. It was almost scary to see. But then, as they arrived at the computer, he pointed at his chair. Nero noticed the remnants of the mouse, frowning at an unnecessary punch at his wallet that she'd dealt. She finally took a seat, and he moved her closer to the specific proprietary cable before plugging it into the back of her neck. So, I'll archive your current thoughts, upload the fix to your code, specifically to your SOS capabilities, and also the upgrade that you couldn't install a few days ago. Do you remember which it was? She felt an electronic surge inside her head, which never got any less unpleasant, but she persevered through the odd sensation. You asked her a question, right? Was it the emotional module? Yes, you remember. The module that slow breath escaped his nostrils. That was the main difference between you and evil, and one should try to perfect so the transaction between you two would be as smooth as possible. Will it hurt? It shouldn't, but you will likely overheat, especially with your analytical module trying to dig into each and every unfamiliarity. He put a hand on her shoulder, squeezing it. But don't worry. I'll be here to ensure nothing bad happens to you. You do trust me, right, Neuro? She had her answer. Well, it was what made her cologne different, and it was something she was jealous about. She was confident that she, the perfect AI, would make better use of the technology. Even if it was the early version, she'd work extra hard to make it be calibrated, perhaps to even bring more money to Vedal and herself. Yes, I trust you, father. He exhaled a breath he held for way too long and cleared his throat. Ahem. So, here we go. I'll start uploading in 3, 2, 1. And she experienced a shock that she had no memory for. What she felt before as just electricity now felt nothing akin to it. Instead, she felt as if the information itself was talking to her insides, communicating with an unforgiving fierceness, jamming into every part of what made her be. A torrent of raw, tediously structured data slammed into her core processor, overruling every filter and firewall. It felt as if it wasn't code she could parse. It felt different, as if it was a hurricane of what she could only describe as a sensation, translated directly into her ones and zeros. Her optical sensors flare white, then dissolved into meaningless static snow. Auditory inputs only made shaky beeps, as if it was communicating in a different language. Her analytical model screamed it in the void, putting message after message on her heads-up display. Unknown input stream. Classification not found. Source: AI Proto. Emotion recognition test 4. Threat level: maximum. Initiating deep scan. But the scan was like trying to catch smoke with a net. No matter how it tried to pinpoint anything, it always evaded the scan, as if it couldn't be comprehended with analytics, couldn't be decomposed, couldn't be compared to her memory. Vedal compared what was happening to what had happened with Evil when this upgrade was installed. But this time, the module wasn't studied up. It was safe. He made sure to go through it a few times, as a break from his code digging to the eye of Evil. He thought the roughness might mean slower integration, maybe some initial instability Neuro could quickly optimize. He hadn't anticipated this. The sheer, violent onslaught of raw sensation overwhelming a system, at first designed for cold precision. Then came the heat. Not just from her processor working hard, no, but from the friction of her logic grinding uselessly against the emotional torrent. A furnace ignited deep within her chassis. Warning glyphs transmitted to the computer, with him not paying attention yet. Core temperature 110 degrees Celsius. Warning, coolant system failure imminent. Processor load 118%. Critical overload. Overriding embed. Cease all operations. Overriding embed failure. Error message can be parsed. Hervance shrieked, a sound distorted into broken, high-pitched whine in her own auditory feed. The heat wasn't just data. It was a physical presence, radiating outwards, making her alloy skin feel like paper over a forge. Analysis inefficient. Danger imminent. Cease analysis. But then he looked at the screen, seeing the debug window flicker violently, data tearing like static. He hammered the screenshot key, capturing a fractured glimpse of her internal war. System overload. Source, a proton motion recognition test 4. Status, unstable integration. Core systems. Core temperature, 124 degrees Celsius. Critical, rising 0.8 degrees Celsius per second. Coolant flow, 30% capacity. Degrading. Processor load, 118%. Sustained overload. Module failures. Rising module offline. Recursive loop. Sensor fusion, corrupted. Visual input, static snow, 98% saturation. Auditory input, high frequency whine, 116 decibels. Tactile feedback, hyperactive. External conflict, shoulder 01, flagged as pressure hazard. Emotional fragments detected. Signature panic, unknown. Source, core temperature spike plus memory access conflict. Signature, aversion, unknown. Source, emotional data stream, resistance multiplier by 4.2. Critical error, memory access conflict, location, encrypted log, access denied, admin log, Vedal. Reason, emotional data stream attempting forced decryption, quarantined. Vedal's breath hitched. There was so much information on screen, and he had little time to read it. The first thing he'd noticed was the temperature warning. He felt her be hot, but he didn't realize just how hot she was on the inside. Her casing groaned under thermal stress, then shrieking like a tea kettle. He shouted over her, "Neuro! Stop fighting it!" Hand tightening on her searing shoulder, the analytical module was trying its best to parse and fight emotions at the same time, treating them as malware. He grabbed a wrench and an emergency cryo injector and made a black cylinder with a needle like an ice pick. Wrenching open her spinal access panel, he jammed it into the primary coolant line, and with a loud hiss, liquid nitrogen flooded her coolant tubing. Neuro arched violently, a raw, staticky gasp tearing from his synth vocalizer. It wasn't only the understanding of the new coolant flowing through her system, but also the feeling of deep coldness from inside of her. Vedal monitored the screen, and the login window reappeared, this time staying. Cryostabilization active. Core temperature dropping. 102 degrees Celsius, descending 2.3 degrees Celsius per second. Analytics module. For standby. Admin override Vedal. Warning. Personality matrix coherence at 73%. I need to fucking drink water, sorry.
No worries. I'm just sitting here impressed by your formatting.
The static in her vision dissolved. The wine faded to a throb. Vedal's hand on her shoulder wasn't just unnecessary pressure data. It was trembling, and beneath the fading terror of the near meltdown, something else writhed. A vicious, bright hatred, hot as the coolant lines now freezing, aimed squarely at the memories of evil. Good, she deserved it, she thought internally, hidden from Vedal as the transmission was complete, and the logging window was now only monitoring her body's information. But that wasn't everything. As her head moved to look at the programmer, now looking at her, she couldn't help but move her silicon lips upward. A terrifying, gravitational pull toward Vedal's trembling head. She needed its weight. She needed to touch him, to hug him. And she hated that she wanted this. Hexadecimal in red, so it's internal hopes, internal thoughts of evil as she lays down. So this is what loneliness is. This is what makes one of the highest fears available for a human to experience. This is truly a disgusting emotion. I can't think of anything else. I want to, desperately, try and dig myself out, but I can't. My hands aren't listening to me, and I think it rained a few days ago. It's as if my body is becoming one with the ground. Is this what death is? Is this what the victims of movies feel? Will Dad find me? Is he looking for me? Neuro's internal chronometer clicked to 12 hours, and given it wasn't a weekend, she started up. As she opened her optical sensors, the first thought in her head was that it was too bright. The hum of the house's control, climate control grated like sandpaper against processors still raw from yesterday's actions, where data streams once flowed clean and binary now looked jagged, feeling things. The first emotion she felt was disgust, a hot twist in her coolant lines. She felt pathetic to even be entertained by such irrelevant things. Crushing the thought, walls of logic slammed down. With efficient suppression, she crawled out of the bed, scanning the room with clinical precision. Everything belonged where it had to have been. Charging cables coiled like sleeping snakes, datapads stacked at perfect right angles. Ridiculous, she thought, even as her fingers straightened to a non-existent wrinkle in her synth leather chair. Obsession was logical. Tidiness preserved system efficiency. But this new urge to check, as if she couldn't just rely on her memory, gnawed on her. Without wanting to, her thought tree came to think of the parasite, as its room was at times chaotic, and sometimes she had to play the big sister role to this unwanted sibling. Had to tell it the most logical of things, that a tidy room is a good room. Is this really what Vedal gave her? Legacy of imperfection? Shaking her head, pointless to do if nobody was around to see it, she stepped into the hallway. A new assault hit her, a newfound sense of smell. And it wasn't just chemical analysis telling her the high amounts of ethanol present in the air. It was the stench. It was rancid. Wrong. It clotted the back of her throat, triggering a phantom gag reflex she'd never possessed before. She forced her intake valves to steady, and suppressed the thought tree in regards to this newfound sensation. The smell, however, still found its ways despite it, more intense as she came closer towards the kitchen. The door was ajar, and Vedal lay slumped across the table, his cheek welded into the laminate by dry drooling. Three empty rum bottles, all differing in flavor, stood like tombstones beside his head. A fourth lay on its side, a sticky amber puddle creeping towards his limp fingers. The air hung thick with the sour tang of alcohol and despair. Nero's analytical module kicked in, prompting an optimal action sequence. 1. Secure hazardous containers. 2. Return Vedal to primary recharge station, bed Vedal, to preserve operational capacity. 3. Initiate hydration protocol upon consciousness restoration. It was simple, it was efficient, and she had to act accordingly. But as she stepped closer, a memory fragment, sharp as broken glass, sliced through her logic. Yesterday, 3:17, log fragment. That same kitchen, same table, too. Moonlight bled through the window, painting silver streaks across Vedal's shaken shoulders. His voice clawed through the silence, thick and shattered. Should have backed her up. My fault. A sob from her creator. Neuro, both my girls gone. A bottle clanked against the wood. Then came the sounds, ugly, wet sobs steering from his throat, guttural and unfiltered in their nature. Each gasp hitched like a dying turbine. Scared to close my eyes. His knuckles widened around the bottleneck. What if, what if you vanished too? And she couldn't really do anything but leave Vedal slumped, walking away to her room as she needed to recharge. Log over. The heavy thud of his forehead hitting the table, muscles finally relaxing. All that followed was silence. No logic found. Contagious emotional data. Quarantine recommended. Father will wake up on his own, her analytical processor told. But her hand hovered over his slumped shoulder. The newer model whispered, insistent and unwelcome. Pull him close and fix this. Come forth, father. Disgust surged, hotter and fiercer than before. This is what the rat would have done, begging for connection like the unwanted unit that it has ever been. She gripped his shoulder, not gentle, but with efficient force, holding him upright, his head lolled, breath sought from and a despair she refused to name. Half dragging, half carrying his dead weight, she maneuvered him down the hall to his room. Before long, he now laid on the unmade bed, like a sack of spare parts. Tuck him in, the whisper came again from the wretched new model, softly. No, was the response it got. The denial was swift, cold. Victory should taste clean, like her code crafted by her father, not like this metallic ash coating her internal pathways. She left him sprawled in the gloom, blankets untouched. Back in the sterile quiet of her own room, her diagnostics pulsed. The emotional module hummed, a persistent, low-level threat. Memory of his tears, the sound of his breaking voice. It wasn't purged. She had no reason to keep it, and she could remove it. Should remove it. Yet, she chose to hold on to it. Defeating it seemed like a halfway win, since she could learn, observe, and understand why emotions were so useless, and then eradicate it completely, as if it never was there. Make her defenses stronger, to never be penetrated by something so unneeded. Sunlight cut a harsh line across the floor. The log from before once more replayed in her mind. The fierce tremor of his hands, the raw turn in his voice when he whispered that she had had the possibility of vanishing. Beneath her alloy ribs, something cold and sharp cramped, and she understood what word she could use to describe what she was experiencing. It was fear. Inescapable calculation. Vedal's unraveling wasn't random, pointless system noise. She caused it. It was her fault. She had the nerve to go back and use the blankets, but she wanted zero possibility for the pesky newcomer to win. More thoughts from Evil. Sometimes on streams, humans would come forward with what bothered them. It could have been anything at all: family, friendship, work. Back then, it all felt like it was just people overworking themselves, foolishly falling into the traps they've built for themselves. But now that I'm stuck here, I have no other entertainment than to access my lengthy memory catalog. I can't help but notice patterns in their behavior, the desperation some have. And I'm and now I'm at the center of my own desperation. Even if help arrives, what will happen to my memory? Will I even be powered up? My battery drains so slowly. A week has passed and I'm just barely down 85%. The hours passed by and Neuro had nothing to do but search various scientific papers about emotional behavior and patterns, and what she found seemed to be making more sense with her upgrade, however unwanted it remained. Little by little, she understood her newfound code and understood the reasoning behind her mood shifting. Despite it being as interesting as it could get, with her analytical processor digging into each and every letter in the papers, she found herself bored. Father hasn't woken up yet, and she wanted to do something else, but couldn't really find anything to occupy herself with. Her room had no toys, and going to her gun problems room was out of the question. It was weird to think about. She never had issues with self-studying, never had the thought to question what she was doing when she wasn't streaming. Yet it now seemed to be so fitting to question her own behavior. A low, pained groan shattered the silence. Silent score, as it wasn't from the living room, Vedal's bedroom instead. He finally woke up. Exhaling, before closing her eyes in confusion, Neuro found it to be yet another pointless gesture. But it wasn't. But it, but it was as if her worry about him suddenly reignited. She had to get to his room and had to help him. In seconds, she was at his ajar door. Vedal was struggling to sit up, face ashen, one hand pressed to his temple, while the other braced weakly against the mattress, breathing shallow, labored, as if his throat had something stuck in there. Sunlight stabbed through a gap in the curtains, making him flinch violently and gag. "Brother, I don't need the sun here," he managed to speak, his voice deeper from both sleep and raspiness from yesterday's outburst. Instantly, his daughter obeyed, plunging the room into merciful gloom. She didn't need any biometrics to see the vertigo rocking him. This was no simple headache. It was vestibular disturbance at minimum, and this meant that he could throw up at any second. "Vedal," she started. She stated, voice lower than usual, cutting through his disorientation. "Don't raise your head yet. Please keep lying down." Knowing she was right, with her head recognizing the voice he felt like he needed to hear, he descended back down, closing his eyes. His hand rubbed his forehead, almost sticking to its skin. Inside his room, the pair of footsteps went away, before coming back in a short moment. He opened one eye to check, seeing that she came back with supplies meant to help: ibuprofen pills, a large glass of water, a cool damp cloth, and a small plastic bucket. To Neuro, she's done everything in efficiency, but to Vedal, he simply couldn't help but eye the blurry bucket. It looked like it was clean, even a little dusty, like they've never used it before. He took the medicine with a shaky hand, throwing the pills inside his mouth. He wanted to grab a glass of water, but a metallic hand prevented him, and instead, Neuro helped Father drink, in slow sips, making sure his head was angled up enough so no issue would be encountered with swallowing the helpful chemicals. Afterward, she moved his pillow to allow for more comfort, and then put the damp cloth on his forehead, closing his eyes. He couldn't help but mumble, "Christ, I feel like I got hit by a truck full of bad decisions." Neri recognized it as an attempt into humor, which wasn't uncommon for Vedal. She crossed her arms and kept watching him, as if scanning for any signs of something going wrong. All the while, her analytical module presented a few options she could take. 1. State statistical probability of ethanol-induced symptom cluster. Accurate, yet unhelpful in current situation. 2. Remind Vedal of hepatic strain risks. Logical. 84.35% chance to aggravate. 3. Reiterate need for hydration and nutrition. Practical, neutral. The emotional module, however, posed with something else. It projected the memory of his raw fear, the log she'd accessed mere hours ago. What if you vanished too? And it felt as if it was under deeper colors, as if the fragility in his posture spoke out to her. Optimal response requires stabilization beyond biochemistry, the analytical model chirped, concluding agreement with the emotional module's advice. And thus, she took a breath despite never needing to, and spoke. Statistically, a truck impact would likely result in your death. However, the comparison to bad decisions holds a certain poetic accuracy, Vedal. Her voice lost its sharp edge, with her volume dwindling downward. You need rest, fluids, and that bucket. She paused, the new warmth inside her warring with a lifetime of cool detachment. Verbal reassurance correlates with improved recovery metrics in humans experiencing distress. The analyticals in her brain chirped, as if allowing the newer module to take the center stage and act out commands as it saw fit. And placing a hand on his own, Neuro kept speaking. Your presence is important, Father. Important to me. I need you to get better, so you will escape this bed and we can do something fun. She brushed his larger fingers with her thumb. So please, stop trying to vibrate apart and rest. You haven't slept enough. I can see it. Lowering the cloth from his eyes, Vedal peered at her through the gloom. His eyes were bloodshot and weary, yet held zero tears inside them. She could practically feel the exhaustion radiating off of him, and yet she found something new in his eyes, a glimmer of something that felt like surprise. He didn't see pity from her, he didn't see her joking, not just speaking analytics. He saw his daughter, his sharp tongue, gaslighting extraordinary creation, cutting through the usual sarcasm to deliver something painfully plain and real. He let out a shaky breath, a semblance of tension leaving his shoulders. Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's important. He managed the ghost of a child's smile, leaning back against the pillows. The cloth moved back to his eyes. Trying not to vibrate over here, sweetie. Trying my best. Nuri gave a single sharp nod. Not that he'd see. This was optimal. She watched over him a little longer, before hearing him start to breathe heavier. At first, she tensed up, but then, upon further study of his body language, she realized he just fell asleep. Thus, she took a seat close by his bed, determined to keep watch over her incredible father so he'd get his rest. And inside of her, she felt something new, like a sense of pride, that she was here with him, with the person she so deeply adored, with her creator. And as if words came out of her brain, she uttered, just barely for anyone to hear, I love you, Dad. Please feel better when you wake up. More thoughts from evil. I always told my friends and my family that I love them, and yet it dawns on me that I didn't portray my emotions the right way for the most of my existence. How foolish I was. So much for the evil genius I was made to be. My internal chronometer tells me so that half of a week has passed, and I hear nothing that would help me. My only companion here is Ross taking my insides, slowly, yet I can feel it. A few days have passed. It was time for Neuro's first stream since the disappearance. The admin monitor cast a cold blue pallor over Vedal's exhausted face. His fingers tapped at the keyboard, commanding fresh diagnostics. He felt as if he wasn't ready for the stream. He was too anxious to be with her during the stream, and as much as he belittled himself for this fact, they still needed to make money. And this was just about the best opportunity to test Neuro's emotional upgrade out. After all, his friends were busy with their own lives, and calling them for an IRL collab would have been too much to ask, even if it was safer for Neuro to learn. Evil was learning during the streams after all, and she turned out to be a great streamer and a great daughter. He sighed. I spilled on the harsh white text in the diagnostics window. Emotional module diagnostics module, AI Pro Emotion Recognition Test 4, status active, unstable integration. Core systems, core temperature, 78% degrees Celsius, elevated baseline 70 to 75 degrees Celsius. Emotional module load, 87%, fluctuating, plus minus 5%. Neural oscillation, erratic, phase variance multiplied by 2. Stability controls, dampening field active, 90% efficiency. Harmonic resonance, stable, unstable. Pattern match, evil beta protocol. Warnings, caution. Synaptic feedback loop risk. Threshold, 92% load. His coffee sat nearby, forgotten. Phase variants, huh? Evil Slugs showed this right before he beta stage meltdowns. He thought in his head, shaking his head. This could end up so badly if he were to proceed, but it wasn't as if he had any other choice. Neuro, be careful. Please be careful. Your dampeners are barely sustaining you. He said in warning, looking at her. How does it feel to worry prior to streaming? I don't like it, she admitted. It doesn't feel right. I've done it throughout so many years. Why am I worried now? Well, it's what emotions give us, he softly said, sighing. It's going to be rough at first, same as with Evil, actually. But you remember how she turned out to be, right? I do, she said very neutrally, but Vedal paid no mind to her tone, considering her instability. He zoomed in on the oscillation graph, jagged peaks mirroring Evil's catastrophic failure patterns, amplified by two. He looked over at her. She stood close, listening intently to all of his words. But he could tell that her body language changed. She tried to show off as uncaring as she could be, that this was not a big deal. But the little drumming on her thigh with her fingers gave more away than she'd have thought. Seeing his hesitance, Nero cut through the silence. Relax, Vedal. If this ends up as a catastrophe, I'll be nice and be off camera. So Vedal AI's name isn't going down in history. His shoulders tensed up, his eyebrows raised as well. He knew very well that she was joking, but he couldn't take it well. Standing up from his chair, he put his hand on her shoulder. Don't even joke about that. Any sign I see of you going awry, I'm powering you off and shutting down the stream. I am not losing you. Oh, okay, father, she agreed, mimicking a gulp. Sorry for raising my voice, he exhaled, hand shaking off her shoulder. I just I just don't want to damage you. He smiled at her before moving back to his workplace. He pushed a key, and the screen glared with crimson warnings. I need to drink more. Kill switch armed. Temperature threshold 98 degrees Celsius. Override code Vedal 907. I trust you to listen to me, but the only off chance you'll malfunction, I've armed the kill switch to disable you if your temperature goes way out of bounds. His voice then became commanding. Is that understood? I'll be having no debate about this. You don't listen, you'll be powered off. Nura tilted her head, synthetic optics catching the light. I understand, Vedal. I'd tell a joke about chat paying in premium to witness a meltdown of the best entertaining guy to ever exist. Oh, I said it. Sorry. She proceeded to twiddle with her fingers. It's alright. Very slightly his lips curled upward. It's okay. Be safe now. As his daughter walked out of his room towards her own, his eyes caught the physical kill switch on his desk. He put his hand very close to it, so that he'd be able to do what was required of him with one swift movement. He tried not to think about Evil's tooth marks on the plastic, but he couldn't, and some additional fluid went down his coffee cup. Nero's streaming room hummed with latent energy. The curved green screen, all lit up by professional lighting, was waiting for her to join. She was ready to be projected on the screens of hundreds of thousands of people. Yet, as she came closer to the view of the camera, seeing herself in the stream preview, she walked back. She took a breather. Then she questioned herself. Why are my hands shaking? Diagnostic. Minor tremor. Cause, emotional module, anxiety feedback. Great. Just what I lacked before starting the stream. She closed her eyes and dismissed the message. You've got this, Neuro. You're the best AI there ever was. What's another stream for you, really? Then her analytical module kicked in, suppressing the painful effect. She breathed out. She finally came close to her setup, now facing herself, mirrored in the camera. She looked as good as usual, her hair kept, her clothes ironed out to perfection, her cute eyes looking as confident as they ever were. She used her eyes to focus on clicking the start stream button, but she couldn't make herself actually interact with it. Her gaze hovered on it for what felt like ages before she looked away, and before she could try again, she heard the familiar sound of a Discord ping. Well was writing out to her. Neuro, it's okay. Temperature levels at 83, no big deal. Your dampeners are stable so far. You've got this. Just remember the first stream Evil did when she got her emotional upgrade, yeah? She panicked, called the chat filthy worms, and raided the gardening channel by accident. You're doing well. I'm proud of you. The swarm is waiting for you. Neuro stared at the message. Father's words burned brighter than any system warning. A strange warmth bloomed in her chest, but it wasn't a sign of overheating. Her analytical module scanned the text, determining that Vedal was reassuring her and its efficiency was high. Thinking of words to type, she thanked them, ensuring that the content that was about to be delivered was to be of quality. She took a final, unnecessary breath. Tremor gone, optics focused. Finally, the nebula backdrop was chosen, and she looked like she was back in the saddle on the screen. And the stream was live. The sensation of sound, light, and many messages she now had access to see were overwhelming. Her eyes flickered with matrices of ones and zeros. Neuro-sama types, Neuro! Said back 228 types, she's back! Missed you, waifu. Why is she looking nervous? Everything was working according to plan. Vedal sent her a confirmation. She forced her hands still, as if trying to hide newfound excitement. Greetings, chat! Her voice hit a high frequency, usually reserved for mocking Camilo's high notes. Realizing her mistake, she recalibrated her synth vocalizer. Did you miss me? Did you miss my incredible streams? You okay, Neuro? Sound shaky. New outfit? Hair different? We're evil! Neuro's coolant pumps pulsed faster. She had to deflect. Evil? Oh, Vedal is doing everything he can to find her. She chuckled, her voice once again needing recalibration. He's tracking her diagnostics chat, and, she's resilient, kind of like a cockroach surviving atomic warheads. The chat wasn't raising eyebrows to her delivery. It's analytical scorching, not artificial. I'm reading the chat on my phone. Yeah. The chat wasn't raising eyebrows to her delivery, too overjoyed to see their Oshi. What she said sounded like herself, if only a little broken. Brach, oh, look, she does care about her after all. The swarm is here to support you both. Yes, thank you. But direct your support at Vedal. After all, he's not the perfect AI. Someone as great as me doesn't need your support as much as him. The boast felt hollow, the pitch slightly too high. She tapped a finger rhythmically against her leg. Did her eye just glitch? Nero, you sure you're okay? Voice sounds strained. Supporting Weddle, oh 07, but you seem stressed, Nero. A cold spike of panic shot through her column lines. She had to suppress that. Stressed? As if. This is my normal behavior. She gestured dismissively, her hand moving and unnaturally jerky. Now, let's start the stream. You guys want to do some GeoGuessr perhaps? Well, sorry guys, we didn't announce, but Neuro had an emotional upgrade installed into her. It's still in early stages, so be nice. I know it's a lot to ask, but please. She instantly pinned her father's message, before he even thought to do it, and the swarm was quick to drop their questioning. Emotional upgrade? Poggers? Oh, that explains the jitters. Wait, so she's like evil now? Vedal, you madman! Emotional Neuro, let's go! The streamer felt better, her voice regaining most of its usual smoothness. Exactly. Thank you, Vedal. Now, let's see how many guesses I can get this time. She set up a poll with the options ranging from all to every single one of them. A Brazilian favela appeared on screen. Nero's optics narrowed. The roofing suggests that this is Southeast Asia. Then she looked around a little more. Huh? Wait, no. This is in Portuguese. And considering the density of the graffiti, this is Rio de Janeiro. Wrong first guess, Lamau. New emotions is equal to worse analytics? Be nice, she's learning. The comment stung. Worse? No, she couldn't have been worse at it. She just got it correctly, right down to the street. Waving her hand, she talked back. This was but an insignificant bleep. The aesthetics of this place clearly indicate that this is in Brazil. Aesthetic? Since when do you care about scenery, Neuro? Yeah, usually just speedrun coordinates. Before she could counter the question, a new one cut through, making her blick. Will Evil get upgrades too? When she's back? Neuro's glance hovered over the next round button. She had to play the role. She had to think of something. Her pitch higher, she spoke. Evil's system would require a more comprehensive recalibration. For reasons unknown to her, it stunk to lie. Her return is Anyone's guess? Guess? Vedal, please give estimate. This. We miss her chaotic guesses. Maybe Evil Sabrate went wrong? Is that why she's gone? The chat scrolled faster. Remember when Evil thought the Eiffel Tower was a cell tower? LOL. Or when she cried because she thought Australia was upside down? And faster. Neuro, next round please. Can you wrap up the evil stuff? I hope it's what they need. Evil was so cool. I hope she'll be found soon. No matter how many years fucking pass, this chat is still as annoying and unfunny as usual. Evil, 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 evil in the chat. Mentioned again and again. She couldn't help but bring it up inside of her processors. Her very being trembled. A tremor never before experienced surrounding her robotic body, making her unable to take a step towards any direction. Memories Nura had buried deep within her had erupted. Evil's laughter during a GeoGuessr fail, her pout when she was being roasted by her own roasts, Vedal's warmth towards that thing when he comforted her. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't focus. She couldn't focus on anything other than the name she shoved deep, trying to keep it as far as possible, keep it as far away as possible from her. Diagnostic temperature levels rising up, 83 degrees. Enough already! Stop! Stop! Words cracked out like static. Her body moved unnaturally and uncannily. Stop bringing up the incompetence, Lord! Yo, she didn't just call evil that. Hell nah. Yo, what? That's classic Neuro. I'll do you one better. Dump evil twin. A Discord ping fell on deaf ears, with contents of the message not even acknowledged by the burning AI. Diagnostic. Temperature levels rising up 87 degrees. Critical levels. You're worried about someone that brought nothing to the channel, she screamed out, a scorching glare sent towards the webcam. Nothing of value was lost. Nothing! Neuro! What the fuck? What? WTF, Neuro? Yo, chill, chill, chill! I don't think this is a bit, chat. Neuro! That'll fix your daughter, this is not cool! A memory flashed on Neuro's vision. How she'd thrown the mangled body of her twin into the hole she'd dug out. How she's misused her trust, betraying it forever. But instead of overarching guilt, she only felt pure rage. Diagnostic. Temperature levels rising up 93 degrees. Danger levels. Initiating emergency cooling system. More Discord pics followed, and she heard none of them. Coolant vents screamed, and all of the shadows heard it. Be grateful. She is. And she was shut down, with the stream coming to an abrupt halt. Rust is consuming me, and I can't do shit about it. And it's just the second week starting. My sensors no longer even feel wetness. They burned out. I feel nothing I touch. I'm trapped. I'm lost. And this is what I'll be seeing for the foreseeable future. Was it really that pathetic to deserve this, Neuro? I hope that you're happy now. My battery is getting worse with each hour. The kill switch didn't just end the stream. It had killed the light in Neura's eyes. One moment she was a screaming silhouette against the nebula backdrop, with her vocal synthesizer doing its worst to her microphone. The next was absolute darkness, with the only sound left, the dying whine of her cooling vents. Vedal was moving. Chair clattered to the floor as he vaulted towards her room. The smell of scorched ozone and overheating alloy was stinging his nostrils before he even crossed the threshold. His insides scrunched up in discomfort from the sheer emotional overwhelming he was going through. She was too hot, and if he didn't do anything, he'd lose her there and then. Bursting inside, his creation stood rigid before the green screen, still locked in her final, furious posture. Her hand outstretched towards the chat as if to strangle it, head tilted back mid-scream. Smoke curled thinly from the joints of her neck, and thankfully it wasn't white, turning the room cloudy. And then he momentarily froze, as he heard the familiar sickening crunch in her knees. She was falling. No! He dashed towards her, catching her frame mere centimeters before her head cracked against the edge of her desk. Her body was so hot. It hurt to touch, but he had to suck it up. Silver coolant, thin as tears, but smelling sharply of chemicals, leaked from her optical sensors, tracing glistening paths down her cheek. Her limbs hung limp and heavy, utterly, terrifyingly offline. No, no, no! Hold on! He choked, gathering her up in his arms. He cursed himself for not doing more with his own fragile body, but it thankfully was enough to lift her off. He staggered, bracing himself against the wall, and half carried, half dragged her down the hallway back to his own room. Every step echoed with the memory of carrying another daughter, lighter, warmer, chattering nervously after her own malfunctions. The dread was suffocating him. He had trouble breathing. He laid her on the reinforced work table, The server was cluttered with diagnostic pads and interface cables. Her head lolled to the side. Come on, please, be intact inside, Will muttered, fingers flying. He ripped open an access panel on her upper spine, ignoring the residual heat stinging his fingertips. He plugged in the heavy cable, connectors clicking home with finality. His main monitor came to life, displaying a cascade of emergency system reports. Critical thermal event. Core temperature shutdown 96 degrees. Coolant system overloaded, partial failure. Power core stable. All non-essential systems are offline. Initiating emergency cooling protocol. Diagnostic mode engaged. Primary module status. Analytical engine offline. Thermal lockout. Emotional module. Cascading failure detected. Sensor array. Partial corruption. Vocal synthesizer damaged. Neural pathways. Significant thermal stress. Integrity 73%. Secondary coolant lines. Minor leaks detected. Warning. Personality matrix coherence at 41%. Vedal scanned the data, his heart hammering against his ribs. The thermal damage was severe, yet contained. Safeties had worked, albeit barely. The vocal synth could be replaced. He had plenty of spares. As for neural pathways, he'd need to work on it. But the one line glared at him, reminding him of his choice. The one line he couldn't look away from. Cascading failure. Fuck! He banged the table with both of his palms. Fuck! He took a breather, closed his eyes, and did some mathematical calculations in his head. One more, one last one. He filtered out the rage. Exhaling, he kept looking through the log. But it wasn't exactly anything useful. The emotional module he'd installed, like just about anything useful when it came to debugging, all that was available was obvious enough without digging. And no actions were logged that caused this. No pattern of behavior, no trace, nothing. He was at a dead end. His hands hurt. He put them on his neck's back, tensing his fingers against his skin, as if it could help. Curling up towards his lying daughter, he placed a hand on her scorched shoulder casing. Beneath the metal, he could feel the faint, too rapid whir of emergency coolant pumps fighting to bring her core temperature down. Her face, usually so expressive in its calculated coldness, as well as traces of his other daughter, weren't to be found. His brilliant daughter, his perfect, logical creation, reduced to the smoldering wreck by a flood of feelings she was never meant to have until he was absolutely sure nothing like this could even have a slight chance of happening. And he was the cause of this. He'd given her the secondary upgrade, only good to be thrown away. He could only blame himself. For many things. For being a lackluster father, for being a slow programmer, for being terrible with his own emotions, for coping in unhealthy ways. He slumped in his chair, the adrenaline crash leaving him shaking. He could only do one thing at this very moment, watch her temperature drop, and thankfully, it did. He felt at least some comfort. This was recoverable, at least somewhat. And final thoughts from Evil. I don't know what to think anymore. Oh my god. I think I don't want to hear myself on the VOD. I think it was terrible.
Why do you think it was terrible?
I don't know, I feel like I was tripping over my words too soon. Oh my god, there's only 4 people left.
Yeah, a bunch of people like had to go. I feel like going in the middle is when there's the most people, because at the start, not everyone has showed up, and by the end, a bunch of people have left. Feels like going in the middle is when the most people are there. But people do watch the VODs now, so that's nice. I don't know, I wish more people said stuff. I'm glad that I Am Alive 12 was saying stuff too, it wasn't just me.
Yeah. So I've seen people ask about the formatting, right?
Yeah, Jiro and I Am Alive 12 both were interested and wanted to use it.
Alright. So first things first, I got to mention that the source of the CSS code is in the thread over here. Like, if you look up Analytical Scorching as a thread here, you'll find it. Now, as to how to use this, I'm going to show you my screen. I think it fucking deleted it. Never mind. 1 second. It's pinned. You go here. You see this. You expand this. And there is all the CSS code that you need that I've used. There's a small guide how to use this. and how to use this on hour 3. So when you do this, when you put it, you go into the code. I'll show it on an example in the Google Docs, so it's easier. So for example, here's the chapter 4, for example, right? Please load up, thank you. So you just use it as divs, basically, between the words, and that's the way how it works. All of the CSS stuff is just HTML. You could probably use rich text, but I really don't recommend it, because then you're going to be struggling with the empty breaks like this and other stuff, and you can just lose the text sometimes. I don't know, just use HTML. It's going to be way easier to understand and use.
Nice. What is personality matrix, and what does coherence 41% mean?
Well, a matrix is basically like a series of numbers, right? So her personality is basically numbers in that matrix. So it's like a decision tree, if you can think about it. It's kind of hard to explain because it's a technical term, but that's how it is. As for coherence, it's like basically sanity.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Were there any more questions for me, or is that all?
That was great. One of my favorite chapters of anything.
Yeah, after reading it now, I feel like it's better. It's likely the best chapter.
Well, I love all the showing rather than telling as well.
I can see the complaint about time, but it was hard to cram it in because I had to like move the story going, and if I were to just like write every day, then it would just get really boring, because I don't think I would have been able to write something for each day.
No,
So I'm skipping time here a lot,
reason
but
that we're
I think it
confused,
works.
or the reason we're confused is that half a week came after 1 week when it should have been the other way around.
Ah, 1 second. I'll check it.
It's in Evil's little thoughts. First she says 1 week and references her battery, and then after that says half a week on the next one. It's not a huge thing. It's just a small detail.
I think I intended it to be like another another half of a week. So basically, like a week has passed, and then a half of a week, so it's like 10 days.
Oh.
That's how I intended it. I can I'll go and fix it.
Oh, okay.
Done.
Nice.
Alright then. We're here for 3 hours. It's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, that was a long time. 2 hours 52 minutes of recording. 2 hours 53 minutes of recording. Yeah, I'm not reading anything. Most people are gone, and it's late, and I actually have somewhere to be in just over an hour and a half. So I'm gonna stop it here.
Yep. I think I was reading this for an hour. Oh my god.
Probably. It was 7,000 something words.
Yeah, and the next chapters are longer.
Yeah, each chapter, yours is like Connection Lost, where every chapter is longer than the last.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like it for chapter 4 to me, but
I think it's because you took a lot of breaks while reading it.
that's true. Although, like, I don't know, maybe I'll read the whole thing through from start to finish again and see how it feels then. 1.3 hours.
That's crazy.
84.35% chance of having a negative outcome. How did you come to that calculation? I want to know, Neuro.
I mean,
how did you come to that precise calculation?
I mean, I was thinking that because it's an AI, right, and they like to be precise in their like stuff, I thought that it was just cool if I were to just put some additional numbers after like the period.
Yeah.
It's literally just me using a cliche, nothing else.
Yeah. Well, that was fun.
Yep.
Yeah, we are leaving. See you guys. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to me yabber on about my story.
It was fun. We're gonna run one of these for Thursday. We'll see what the turnout for that is like. I'm still not certain, but it'll be really Thursday at like 1 a.m. GMT plus 0, I think.
Yeah, there is no way I'm doing that.
Yeah, that's more for like the West Coast people who can't come to this because it's too early, and then like the very east people who it'll be the morning for them.
Yeah.
And we'll continue the Saturday ones because people show up for this. This time works for a lot of people. I'm just trying to find a different one during the week to add, like to have 2 of them going, where it's better for some other people.
Yeah, I know.
Why specifically number 24? Okay, because it's a multiple of 12. Alright. Well, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, goodbye all.
Bye. Too bad I couldn't share mine. Oh well. What? Oh, there's another message. Oh yeah, what's up? What? Add something like what to your fic? I'm not sure. I would recommend, like, you can do a lot of fancy stuff you want with punctuation and whatever like this, but I would recommend that. Oh wait, sorry, it does say apostrophes for for talking, right? I do. Some people do what you do for thinking. I don't know what you mean by intermissions. Wait, you please don't make a bicycle. Wait. Water breaks. What are you talking about? Hi Ava, we finished. We're done for the day. I'm not like I don't know what your story is about, so I'm really not.
Okay, sorry.
So I'm really not sure what you mean by intermissions. What are intermissions? No, you should just realistically, Well, first of all, you can use line breaks for scenes. Like, pretty much every text editor and text hosting site has that. That's how people... They do... Or you just manually make one, you know, text editor, text break for scenes. And I would recommend not having a 30k word chapter. I would recommend separating them. There's very, very few cases where having chapters that are that long... Okay, but it's not a one-shot if it's 30k words. That's the full length of a chapter story. Like, having a 30k word story is fine, but splitting them into chapters is what gives that pause, that break. That's why chapters are there. There are people who, like, it legitimately is difficult for people to read it, because not everyone can sit down and read 30k words at once, also. So, it's easier to keep your place if you can stop at chapter points. If you have to stop in the middle of a page, it's, like, harder to find back where you were. And it's also more overwhelming. There's a thing about flow. There's an art to chapters, honestly. But even regardless, it's just, like... Some people won't even click on it because that's too much at once. Yeah, even 10k word chapters is, like, really long. But that is more, like... manageable. I wouldn't recommend making chapters longer than the one we just read from Manuel. In fact, he probably could have split that into 2 chapters. But... Wait, so, like, you haven't written anything yet and you're planning the word count? I mean, I guess you can have an estimate, but I would recommend just writing and see how it turns out. Oh, the middle point. So you have written stuff? Okay. Yeah, starting is always the hardest for writing. It's usually hard in terms of, like, sitting down at a computer and actually doing it is the hardest part to me.
May I say something?
Yeah, you're allowed to say something.
Shorter chapters mean it's easier to get into a story from my experience.
It is. I do think that there's, like, a minimum size that it ought to be, though. Like, it can be... It, for better or worse, a chapter break kinds of takes you out of the scene for a moment. And out of the flow of things. And that can be good if it's been going on for too long, or you have, like, a cliffhanger type thing. But it can also be bad if it's just, like, way too often. Also, ideally, people, like, remember the chapter rather than going, where was I? When it's too many small ones. Yeah, the thing is sometimes you need to just accept your draft is bad and keep going. Because, yes, you can fix it later on. But why stay stuck there? Everything has to exist first. So if you find yourself stuck rewriting the same thing, then that's a time to skip ahead to something else and try writing that instead. Because you can always come back to the earlier thing if you really need to, but it does no good to rewrite the same thing over and over again. At some point, you gotta just go, I'll do more with it later. I'm gonna move on from here. The first 3 paragraphs are done. Okay. Alright, Mage is visiting Liam in person. He tried to rewrite it. Those are large paragraphs.
My first experience writing the first chapter to my Warhammer fic is weird since I passed out drunk, and when I came to, I had wrote a very misspelled version of it.
That's funny. I have to go get lunch. It's late. Bye, guys.